Why, hello everybody! It's Wes, Hank, and Andy. Oh wait, it's us and Bo-Katan. We are back with our weekly installment of the FANdalorian this week, where we're going to talk about chapter 22, Guns for Hire.
Another hidden title one.
One of the most controversial episodes of the season.
They didn't hide the icon, but they did hide the title.
Oh, they did this. Yeah, I did see that as well. Yeah. Yeah. Let me do some stuff here.
All right.
Hang on a second here. Let me get this going here. I got some stuff. Let me change this up. I'm gonna
New format.
There we go. New format, new background. There it is. Okay. Welcome everybody. I hope you are having a excellent long Easter weekend here in at least here in Canada. I'm sure many other places around the world, if you celebrate, I hope you are having a wonderful time.
I think the Pope's back at it. he didn't go to Friday.
Didn't go to mass?
No, he was too ill for Friday.
Okay.
But apparently he's back today.
I wasn't aware that he wasn't necessarily well.
Yeah.
All right, guys, before we get into our regular breakdown, it is time to unlock the cage once again as we dip into bad Star Wars jokes. Is that getting old yet?
No. Never.
All right. In honor of all of the controversy this week, I thought I'd start off with a double shot. Guys, what was General Grievous's favorite band? This also works if you ask what Darth Vader's favorite band is, too.
True.
Oh, I don't know.
Would you believe it's Weezer?
That's a good pick. That is a good pick.
All right,
my name is Grievous.
Give me back my sweater. I got another one for you. What does TMZ and the Imperial Fleet have in common?
Agents everywhere.
Jeepers.
They both have Star Destroyers.
Oh my.
That they do.
Oh, that is so bad. That is drippingly bad. But that's why we call it Bad Star Wars Jokes.
Nice.
All right, guys. Before we get into the actual breakdown, as I like to warm it all up with just a light scratchy, what did we think of this week's episode?
I hated it and then I loved it. I didn't hate it. Actually, I can't say that I hated it. I had a lot of problems with it while I was watching it.
Sure.
And then I've been in the room all week with somebody who had the complete opposite opinion, and they have a lot of good points. And so through multiple watches and multiple conversations, I've sort of softened on the whole thing, and I thought it was actually a great episode, and it felt more than any of the other live action stuff we've had, and or Obi-Wan, any of it. This single episode felt more like a Clone Wars cartoon episode than any of them.
I think I actually agree with you on that point, on the most like a cartoon. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, excuse me. Definitely a bit more of a fun vibe to it, but I think that's the guest stars bringing that vibe with them.
You know, of all of the genre based themes that that live action Star Wars has leaned into, is this the first police procedural we've had?
Yeah, it's a procedural crime drama, which always has 3 guest stars. And it's always the most popular one that did it.
I feel like, you know,
it's all on purpose. Like I had a lot of problems with it until I started.
I did too. And I no surprise. My knee jerk reaction was a big old WTF. By the way, that's going to come back later on in the episode. Literally WTF.
Yeah. I like Jack Black, but it just caught me.
I do as well.
It's not really a fit for him.
So again, like, and I've talked to other people, some friends of ours, friends of the show, and we've had these sort of round conversations where it's like, you know, when you put Jack Black in something, you know you're getting Jack Black, and it doesn't matter what the role is. Jack Black going to Jack Black on you, and it's exactly what he did.
Yeah,
so, I mean, there is a charm and a wit there that is indelibly Jack Black.
Yeah.
But then if you take that part of it away, that if you try to forget that it's Jack Black and think of it as the character Captain Bombardier, that he's this noble, this reformed imperial noble, I gotta say, it kind of works, especially as someone who's read like a ton of the old EU. There is nothing that character did or didn't do that isn't consistent with some of that. Like, I mean, look at the whole. I don't know, Hank, if you're familiar with the role playing supplement, the Tepani sector, and all the nobility from the Tepani totally falls in line with that stuff. So I'm okay with that.
No, absolutely. And I'm not like a fan of either of those people, but I thought it worked. Like,
yeah. Despite, I mean, Lizzo is still kind of getting her feet as an actress. So I
didn't realize it was Lizzo.
Oh, I did immediately. Oh yeah.
Lauren is like maybe her biggest fan, so she was jumping up and down.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I thought they were credible. I thought they made a credible couple, and I thought they were okay.
It really felt like when we're visiting a separatist world in Clone Wars. Like, we got world building, we got sort of quirky, royalty or nobility or leadership, and just a whole other viewpoint of the galaxy, which is what Clone Wars was really good at doing, was
showing us all
drop you into this parts, and the stuff that we were praising about other, the way that Andor was doing the same thing, showing you this angle of the galaxy. I thought it was great.
If you were focused on the big three guest stars this week, you probably missed that there are way more cameos and guest spots in this episode than we've had in previous episodes. I've tried to collect them all and bring them up when they come up. There are a lot of people in this one. I did think it was tonally disjointed. I still think it's that we had a little bit of an episode within an episode, and that maybe the ending of the episode should have been the cold opening to the next episode.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had said in the chat too.
Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It just feels tacked on to this one. That's all. We're lucky here at the show because, this episode has been talked about a lot online because we do our show later in the week. We are not immune to some of the outrage. But we have the advantage of reviewing these shows. And when I say advantage, I mean, as I was saying before we went live, we watch them as fans first. But then we go back and we watch them microscopically because we want to make sure we get all the details for you guys. And in this case, I feel like that is such an advantage. And because of that, we realize that there is so much world building that's happening in this episode that it really did soften my stance on it by the time I got through my writing my show notes this week.
Yeah.
We got our first comment coming in tonight. It's Sarah on YouTube says, Jack Black was a bit jarring, but okay. I didn't recognize Lizzo, but she wasn't a good actress. Yeah, I mean, again, she's still relatively new, and I think she's still kind of finding her feet as an actress. I think of her more as a musician than anything else.
Yeah. Well, Jack Black is a good example of that, right? Crossover guy.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're going to talk about that as well when that comes up.
Go ahead. I have
Andy.
a hard time seeing him as evil, and like just him being an Imperial that was like, no, I can't hate Jack Black.
If we had met him as an Imperial, I think it would have been even more jarring, to be honest.
Yeah,
we got a lot of chuckleheads in the Imperial Army too.
Well, that is true. That is true.
I can't even say I've ever seen an entire Jack Black project. So it maybe Tropic Thunder, and his hair was dyed in that.
I'm sure you have, but you don't remember
that. Yeah. So it didn't. I don't have this like, oh, it's Jack Black. So that for me, that didn't bother me. I didn't have that. If that was Robert De Niro, I can't watch those types of guys in movies anymore because I'm completely aware that I'm watching an actor. Oh, it's Tom Hanks.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's true too. All right, guys, you ready to get into the breakdown?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So it is chapter 22. It's called Guns for Hire. This one aired Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. It is written by Jon Favreau. This one directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, making this her third episode in the series, having previously directed chapter 4, Sanctuary, That's the one where Mando almost settles down when the raiders come to attack the rice
And they show up
farmers.
with the walker.
Yeah, the red-eyed walker. She also directed Chapter 11, one of our favorites, The Heiress. That's the one where Bo-Katan showed up for her first time in live action. And yeah, this one builds right off of Chapter 11. So we have an advertised runtime this week of 46 minutes, but an actual runtime of 38 minutes and 32 seconds if you skip the titles and the end credits. And our synopsis this week reads, The Mandalorian visits an opulent world. And it is definitely that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, the episode opens in deep space with a flyby from a Quarren starship on its way to the planet Trask. But this isn't a simple pleasure cruise, as we cut to the bridge where the navigator tells the captain that he's found a way to get there by bypassing all of the trade routes. But an Imperial vessel has caught up with them, and it may put a damper on their plans. And knowing they can't defeat that Imperial ship, the captain orders her comms officer to hail them instead. Now, Trask, if you remember, is the watery planet from the Heiress, where Din Djarin delivered Frog Mom and her eggs. It's also the planet where Grogu was ingested, at least temporarily, by the Mamacor. And again, that was the second episode for Bryce. Now, our Quarren captain here, this is Captain Shuggoth. Shuggoth? S-H-U-G-G-O-T-H. Shuggoth.
Cool.
Well, that's actress Christine Adams. Now, she has over 60 film and television credits, including 58 episodes of Black Lightning as Lynn Stewart, and she appeared in Tron Legacy as Claire Atkinson. Alrighty. An Architan's light cruiser lumbers into view, and it begins to overtake the much smaller freighter. Now, on the bridge of the Quarren ship, the captain fumbles her way through mistaking the ship for an Imperial warlord, and then tries to hire them for her own protection. As it turns out, the captain of the Architan's cruiser is none other than Axe Woves, who, along with Casca Reeves, has amassed a sizable force of Mandalorians, which he now leads as their mercenary captain.
Not see her coming back.
And neither did I, especially when the actress said she wasn't called back.
Yeah.
And as mercenaries, they have already been hired by a Mon Calamari viceroy to collect her son, whom the viceroy believes that Captain Shuggoth has absconded with. Now, Captain Shuggoth makes an overture about how everyone has suffered too much from war, but Axe says that his job has nothing to do with war, and he knows that what Captain Shuggoth did was out of love, and it's his job to complete the task for which they were hired. Well, just then, a young Mon Calamari nobleman bursts onto the bridge, professing his love for Captain Shuggoth, and exclaims that he won't go with the Mandalorians. We get some conversation in this where, what's he say? He says, I'm not a criminal. And then she kind of backpedals a bit. And I actually like this, that we get some of that world building where she's like, but basic is not my first language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We often take for granted that everybody either speaks, understands, or both.
Yeah.
And this is a case of like, now I think she's completely just bluffing her way through it.
For sure. Because she went in thinking it's Imperial, and then, oops, it's not.
Yeah. And then Axe, he does announce them as privateers, saying that their price is high, but they are very good at what they do. Captain Shuggoth says something really interesting here. She says, it's a lie. We finally, and I'm gonna nitpick on this one because we're gonna talk about sort of galactic history here for a second. She says, it's a lie. We finally have peace with the Calamari. Why would I jeopardize peace and prosperity?
For love.
That confuses me because at the outset of the Clone Wars, we have two factions. We have the Mon Cals and the Quarren. They live on the same planet. The Mon Calamari supported the Republic. The Quarren supported the Separatists. But we have a whole arc, that whole arc with Lee Char, that by the end of that arc, the Quarren have now reconciled with the Mon Calamari, and they are together before the end of the war. She makes it sound like something has happened in the 30 odd years since.
That would have split them again.
That's what I mean. Like, did you guys pick up on that?
Yeah, totally. I just figured that's like the Wookiee and the Trandoshan.
Oh, sure.
Simon, hello there.
Simon Sonic Boomer Barry, hello there. Thank you for coming along and joining us tonight as we work our way through
General Kenobi.
Chapter 22.
I figure that's an ancestral conflict.
It could be.
Yeah.
Right? So it's on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again. And so this is just the newest iteration of peace, if you will, that we've seen for the last.
Right.
And
right.
Maybe who knows? Yeah. That's
as Lauren is pointing out. This boy is a prince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lichar.
We're gonna get to that. Speaking of that, let's just move ahead here for a second. Let's talk about sort of what's going on here. We've got Simon Castellanos coming back as Axe Woves, as well as Mercedes Varnado, aka Sasha Banks. She's back as Casca Reeves. Formerly. I guess she can't take that name with her, can she?
No, I don't believe so.
The fans don't care.
No, they don't.
I'm looking at you when you said you weren't getting called back, that you were not called back for future episodes, crafty.
Sasha Banks wasn't called back.
That's true. Mercedes Varnado was.
She's a bigger liar than Lars Mikkelsen.
Yeah, really. I mentioned earlier that there were more cameos than just what we saw. This is a big one. Our Mon Calamari nobleman is played by none other than Harry Holland. And that is the brother of Spider-Man actor Tom Holland. Now, Harry has just 9 acting credits, most of which go as either uncredited or he plays an unnamed character. He's also directed a handful of shorts, none of which I've ever seen. So that makes his most notable role as working as his brother's personal assistant.
Hey, got your foot in the door.
That's true. It's so true. Oh, hey, that's a great comment. Simon says, I'm so looking forward to the Old Republic in live action. I think we all are. I mean, as 40-somethings that kind of came up with Knights of the Old Republic, Tales of the Jedi back in the Dark Horse days. I'm interested to see other eras of Star Wars that are not so close to the Skywalker saga. Yeah. All right. Well, Axe tells the young Mon Cal that he has to return him to his parents, and he encourages Captain Shuggoth to talk to him. Now, Shuggoth tells him that he has to go and that she won't destroy everything she's built for what she calls a childish fling. Ouch. The young noble asks if that was all the relationship ever was to her. Well, she tells him that it wasn't, and that wasn't what she meant, but he still has to go. And then Casca Reeves, along with 2 other Mandalorians, enter the bridge and they take him away, and we get our title cards. Axe says to Casca when she goes, he says, make this quick. We've got a contract waiting for us on Plazir 15. A little foreshadowing there. Funny thing, she says, I can't destroy everything I've built for a childish fling. In real life, Harry Holland is 24 and Christine Adams is 48. So I don't know, a little May-December thing going on there.
Maybe.
And then she follows that up with saying, we knew that fate was not on our side. That could speak to the ancestral thing, Hank, maybe?
I would imagine that this type of union is not occur very often.
Probably
So,
not.
I mean, we could probably follow these guys on a Romeo and Juliet Star Wars kind of action thing. It'd be pretty cool. But I think the more important thing is that when come on, Prince, let's go. And the last ruler of Mon Cala that we know was Prince Lichar before he was, I guess, kinged or Emperor Lichar. I don't even know. So the fact that the viceroy wants her son back could easily be the role that Lichar's wife fulfills in Mon Cala society. You know, like
absolutely, yeah.
Literally,
I absolutely question that. This guy, he could very well be a descendant of Lichar.
Yeah, we're not that far. Like we're about
30 years.
About that. So
Yeah.
So if Lichar was still a child then, and then if they kind of track like humans, he could have gone another 10 years and then had a 20-year-old.
Absolutely.
Right. So
this is one of those things where it could just be you see it as a throwaway moment, but I mean that character could come back. And maybe we'll get some more action. Interestingly enough, I'm gonna roll back here. 3 slides, 4 slides. They make a point. The starship. I mean, it's a design we've never seen before, but yet it still has that familiar, like, it almost looks like a Mon Calamari design with the extra bubbles and stuff on the outside.
Yeah.
It could be.
Struck me as kind of like Battle Droid headish.
Oh yeah, color, tonal wise, yeah.
I'd have to go back and watch some of those Clone Wars episodes that occurred on Mon Cal.
Oh,
but
sure.
The ship feels very familiar.
Simon has a great comment here. He says, when she said it's just a fling, he was thinking this is a cougar trap. Maybe. He's clearly upset about that. Is that all this was to you?
Well, is it her just pushing him away for the greater good?
I think it's a case of exactly that you need to go because we're going to get...
This is not a fight anybody here can win.
No, we'll figure it out later if your parents ever let you out of the palace ever again and don't bar your windows. And
either that or we die. We die right here for love.
But he does say that too. He's like, I don't want to go back to that palace. So clearly there's some
he might be
royalty
arranged or something.
Yeah.
Or
maybe.
Betrothed.
Maybe.
And can't have a royalty marrying some lowly captain.
That's true. And as somebody who is ancestrally not necessarily friendly to us.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting idea here. I do like this concept though, that the star-crossed lovers, I do like that.
And Julie Squid.
Yeah. Shrimpio. Shrimpio and Julie Squid. Well done. Okay, well, we fade into space over an unnamed verdant world, and Bo-Katan's gauntlet fighter drops out of hyperspace and descends through the planet's atmosphere. On board, Bo sits at the flight controls while Grogu hovers beside her, sitting in his pram. Now, Din Djarin sits at a computer console while R5-D4 stands quietly in the back of the cabin. Breaking through the cloud cover, they close in on a domed city surrounded by marshy wetlands. Well, the dome is not unlike the ones that used to stand on Mandalore. We had speculated that this may have been a flashback or another planet in the Mandalorian system, and we were wrong.
Maybe just some influence, though.
Yeah, maybe. Turning away from the city, Bo spots a flat, grassy area where the Imperial Architan's light cruiser, along with 2 Imperial Gozanti-class cruisers and 6 Comrec-class fighters, fighter transports, sit in a makeshift assembly area. Well, Din remarks that it's quite the fleet and it could come in handy in taking back Mandalore. But with Axe Woves now acting as their leader, Bo isn't so sure that they can convince them to join them. Well, Bo tells Mando that the planet isn't on the New Republic registry, and it's likely that the Mandalorians were hired for protection. Well, knowing that they won't be happy to see her, Bo decides to land outside the Mandalorian perimeter where they can make the rest of the way on foot. All right. I found this actually to be quite funny, this whole thing, this fleet.
This fleet section?
Yeah. They have a whole conversation about this where they make a point of having Bo say how long it took me a long time to assemble the fleet, and then says most of it was captured from the Empire. Well, it's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 9 ships in total. And it's like, did they forget that we were there for the 2 of the 3 Imperial ships? We were present for 2 of them. Like, did they forget that part?
Maybe she meant by weight.
Maybe the number of bunk spaces. I don't know. All right.
Maybe she had to liberate the Cormacs out of their clutches anyway. Like
maybe.
Possibly. Well, we saw what one Comrade class fighter transport is capable of previously with Gorian Shards, pirate Corsair. Now imagine having 6, and with bows, that's what, 7?
Yeah,
certainly you could parlay a mid-range capital ship into more ships.
It's hard. This slide actually doesn't do it justice, but when you look at them in total size, a Comrec is actually almost the same size as a YT-1300. Granted, most of that is wing. It's still quite a large fuselage.
Well, big enough to host 3 birds.
Yeah, and they can deploy what, something like 24 troops per fighter transport.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's quite a bit. Of which, by the way, when we get to the end of the episode, it looks like they've fleshed out their numbers quite a bit too. So probably enough people to crew them.
Not only is the armorer bumping their ranks up, so is Axe.
Well, absolutely it is. Yeah. All right. Unexpectedly, and what's very suddenly and unexpectedly, we get what sounds like a 16-bit MIDI synth phone ringtone. There's no other way to say that. I have the ringtone. I'm going to play it because I asked you guys earlier this week, does this sound like any video game music that you've ever heard before?
It could be any.
Maybe. I don't know. Let's take a listen and see what they say here.
Welcome to Plaisir 15, the Outer Rim's only remaining direct democracy. You've been assigned a docking slip. You will be guided on the assigned path. Engaging automated guidance.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Now, it did send me down a bit of a rabbit hole there.
In what way?
In that I looked up 8-bit Tenacious D songs.
Sure,
They do exist. People are covering Tenacious D in 8-bit. So maybe it's a little sample of something.
It's like the guys who make music with dot matrix printers.
Yep. Yeah, or a little MIDI keyboard or something.
Yeah, exactly. I totally got like, and I didn't spend much time on it, but I looked up like the old Super Star Wars and some of these older like 8-bit, 16-bit games to see. It definitely has that feel to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Pardon me, sorry. Very burpy tonight. I apologize.
Burpy.
It
had that like Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, like you walk into.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. As Simon says, it sounds like a Commodore 64 game. Yeah, absolutely. Like on cassette.
Yeah.
There we go. Back in the day. Imagine, remember that playing with cassettes? She says a couple of interesting things here. She says that it's the last or first last direct democracy. That's a huge deal.
This is unlike a world we've ever seen in Star Wars before.
That's right. Yeah.
We've only seen worlds aligned with one of three factions.
Yeah.
This is an independent world.
That's right. Well, the ship veers back towards the city, now under an automated landing sequence that Bo is not able to disable. That's a big security risk. Like, I would be really upset if that happened to my ship.
Yeah, they just took it from you, basically.
The display is actually written in Mandoa. It does say control override. Finally, when they do land and disembark the gauntlet, both Bo and Din are surprised at being met by a pair of Imperial droids, especially with Plaisir 15 being an independent world. Now, the protocol droid directs them to a pod on the city's Hyperloop, a transportation system that's basically an upscaled high-tech mail tube. You know, the tube?
Yep.
It's pretty much what we're looking at here.
Pneumatic.
The protocol droid oh, sorry, I already said that. Yes, so direct democracy, in a nutshell, also called a pure democracy, is a system where the electorate decides everything with no elected representatives acting as proxies. I tried to look a little bit more, like in terms of like, are there any countries that use this? Nobody uses this on a national level. The closest we get to is Switzerland. Switzerland uses a form of this on a much smaller level. At the municipal level, they use this a lot, and then some regional governments in Switzerland. But I could not find a country in the world today that on a national level uses this form of democracy.
Definitely contemplated this idea on a deeper level and come up with the conclusion that all people would ever be doing is voting.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'd just be like, is it going to rain today? We should vote on that. You know,
well,
like, so your day would be a series of voting. Like it really would.
Or I'd be submitting my vote through my personal assistant droid.
I mean, now that everything is digitized and on the internet, voting on every single thing might only take the time it takes to scroll through your Instagram in the morning.
Touch the face of your watch or whatever.
Take a 5
yeah, exactly.
It's sort of a neat sci-fi idea, but I don't know that.
This is that whole communism works on paper. You know what I mean? Like, we'll all want for nothing, right? Which is kind of how they've set their society up to be this pleasure world. I guess this is the Risa of Star Wars, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Hyperloop wheels up to this rotunda, I guess.
Yeah.
And entering the, did I go too far? What did I do here?
Mm.
What number am I on? Oh, there we go. Bo instructs the automated pod to take them to the area where the Mandalorians are gathered. Now, the computer voice tells her that according to the Coruscant Accords, in order to access the planet's self-defense forces, they must be granted permission from the High Senate and then ask them for permission and then the computer voice asks them to scan their chain codes. Well, after ascertaining their identities, the computer tells them that their presence has been requested by the planetary leadership and instructs them, do not attempt to exit the vehicle as the pod rockets off down the tube, back throwing Bo back in her seat. The pod passes into the city's main dome, where Bo and Din remark that they've never even heard of Plaisir 15, let alone been there before. Then arriving at a round building, Mando wonders if they'll have to blast their way out. It's very
First
Mando.
things first.
That's very Mando.
Super interesting that either of these characters have a chain code.
I thought,
considering
yeah,
we know when they were made now, which was not all that long ago,
and how they were implemented.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe Mando had one before, right? Like when he was younger, but even that doesn't track because when he was younger, we're still in the Clone Wars. So never mind that, scratch that.
Sure,
but Bo-Katan literally hating everything to do with the Empire,
especially having lived through that period of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It seems odd to me, unless there's something more. I mean, unless you can, it's what you can't even buy groceries or something like that. Something
chain
deeper.
codes would have made way more sense to me if it was something biological, like the clones inhibitor chips or something. Like it was some code, like there's a tattoo on the long bone of your arm that we've got to scan.
Or if it'd been a precedent in the galaxy for,
well, yeah.
Here's a weird one to poke holes and stuff then, because Grogu has a chain code.
You would think so.
Well, I mean, they track him. They in
using
season
it,
1.
right.
I'm going to go off the rails here, but they track his chain code. And he's 50, which doesn't make sense if the chain code idea is only
chain codes only came around
20 years ago. It's very odd. I guess if he was they maybe they gave him one. He was in prison with them. I'm going off the rails now with chain codes, but
that's true.
It would make more sense for these two characters to have them if this was like the galactic standard for 10,000 years.
Yeah, which we know it isn't. Yeah,
right. And especially how anti sort of imperial these two guys are.
No, you're absolutely right. You're right.
Carry on. Here's my chain code.
All right. Entering the building, Mando and Bo walk into what can only be described as an elitist dinner party with multiple species from across the galaxy sipping secretions from a creature suspended in a vat hovering over the table. At the head of the table, a pair of human nobles beckon them forward, and it turns out that the couple are the elected monarchy of Plaisir 15. The man, Captain Bombardier, was once an Imperial facilities planning officer, so he's a city planner.
Bureaucrat.
Exactly. While his wife, the Duchess, was a part of the Plaisir 15 noble family. After the war, Bombardier was sent to Plaisir 15 as part of the New Republic amnesty program, where the two fell in love. And since the end of the Galactic Civil War, the planet decided that they needed a change, and they held their first ever democratic elections, which made them both royalty and the elected leaders of the planet at the same time. Well, the Mandalorian fleet was hired for protection because under their charter, Plaisir 15 is now forbidden from having a standing military because of Bombardier's past Imperial service. But Bombardier notes that there is a silver lining in that, because by not having a military, all of the planet's resources are spent on growth and directly on the people. When Bo asks to speak to the hired privateers, Bombardier says it can be arranged, but there is one condition. And he beckons her and Mando to join him and his wife on the terrace to take in the view. Cool little dinner party scene. You get everybody
One of
representation from all
each.
over the place. Pretty much, yeah. All the major players are there. You got what, an Ithorian, a couple of Rhodians, some Sulistans, and I think there's a Bith or two in there. There's a frog mom. I still don't know what their species is called.
Yep.
Frog mom.
There was
Frog
two,
mom and dad.
There.
What's with the thing in the vat? The sippy.
The
Come
secretion
have a
maker?
sippy.
What
What
did
is
that
up with
remind me
that
of?
thing?
It reminded me of something like I don't know.
It reminded me of
Jabba's eating those frogs out of that tank.
the last time we had an alien in a tank. It was the musical duo of Ventafoli and
Right.
the lady and the singer.
Yeah.
And he was in a
the
vat.
tank.
Yeah, the alien in a tank that was a singer. I'm like, is that the
Mhm.
same species? Like they
Maybe
drink
they're
these?
delicious.
Maybe.
Maybe they are delicious.
Depending what liquid it's resting in, maybe it's one of
Little
those
sip,
blue
sip.
milk producing cows.
Mm.
He's just up there chilling, letting off blue milk.
Well, whatever it is apparently safe for multiple species to
Yeah.
consume.
Yeah.
So that's an
I imagine it's
interesting
the height of opulence too. You
Yeah,
know what I
really.
mean? It's
Or
like,
or is it
it's a
safe?
delicatessen.
come eat
mean-
this
Oh,
whale's
sorry, a
egg.
delicacy. A delicacy. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if it's some sort of like, an alcohol where it's like
Oh,
really
yeah,
good
yeah,
for
yeah,
you, but it'll,
It'll do the trick.
yeah.
Oh, maybe. All right, let's get to it here. Our big cameos, first two big cameos. Captain Bombardier, of course, is played by Jack Black. And man, what doesn't Jack Black do? He's an actor, a writer, a producer, a composer, a rock star, and a video game character. He is synonymous with voice actor as well. He is synonymous with quirky comedy in a way that can only be described as Jack Black.
There is one role where he does fall into it though.
Oh, okay.
Playing Wolfman Jack in the Weird Al documentary.
Oh, that's true. He was
That
good.
is
at that.
one
Yeah,
where
he
it's
was
not
good. He was good.
jumping out at you that it is Jack Black.
But again, I put it up there. I could not put it up there because it's probably one of the earliest things that he was in. Jack Black was in High Fidelity. Hank, you probably saw that.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, the John
that's
Cusack film.
That's yeah. Oh yeah, and he
In a
wasn't
record store.
He wasn't being a weirdo.
No, he was the good.
Oh,
the
you
good
remember he was also one of the techs in Enemy of the State with Will Smith, where he was
Oh
just a
wow,
straight
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And he
whoa.
also played the best friend in Cable Guy, which was also a straight role.
Oh, for him, yeah.
For me, it didn't I was able to just go, oh, that's a character because I'm not crazy into Jack Black or not, that's, the wrong word, but I haven't seen enough of his body of work with him being a weirdo. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of Nacho Libre as a cult pop, sort of a pop culture guy. I'm aware of, the Jumanjis and stuff.
Yeah.
And that he's a strange guy when they let him be.
Yeah. Or Jack Black driving around LA handing out skateboard decks. Do a kickflip.
But no, that one didn't rip me out the way that Lizzo did a bit.
Right. Well, the Duchess, that is Lizzo, singer, songwriter, rapper, and a flutist. Lizzo has 22 acting credits, but this is actually just her 5th time playing a character that isn't actually a version of herself. She played Lydia in Ugly Dolls. She also played Liz in Hustlers, as well as the happy little elf doll in the season 34 finale of The Simpsons.
Well, now you're there. Once you've been on The Simpsons,
Exactly.
you've made it.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah says, I really like the hologram trailing Duchess. I want to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that
amazing,
in the next couple seconds here, because
there's a little scene where it passes through Bo-Katan where she turns and Bo-Katan's standing still. It's what a cool idea.
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely. That falls right into that whole world building thing that I was talking about. Like when you take away all of the in your face cameos.
Yeah.
No surprise that holographic technology is a part of fashion Star Wars, and it should be.
Yeah,
it's so perfectly placed as well.
Yeah, it's really good.
I couldn't help but notice this. I just want to toss out an honorable mention to the guards here, dressed in this garishly awful accoutrements over top of stormtrooper armor.
Over top of stormtrooper. They really feel. I don't know. I kind of dig it.
I really
kind of
change the color to brown. Do you not get closer to Clone Wars Obi-Wan?
They look like knights.
Yes.
They look like knights.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
I think I said earlier this week, I'm like, I don't know what these guys are getting paid, but they deserve a raise for having to wear that.
I think it looks great. I mean, the colors are kind of, very opulent. Like I wouldn't pick
Yes.
those colors, but I will buy that action figure.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at how much recycling, Imperial recycling is going on here, which this is just one more aspect of that. But no,
It's a
you
decent
can't have
set of
bone
armor,
whiskers.
right? No helmets.
Nope.
Those look like the force pikes from Jabba's palace.
They do, yeah. They do look like that.
It is kind of nice to see the amount of recycling going on from other galaxy parts here, like not just here, but on the planet itself.
Oh yeah.
And we'll get to that later, but it's, really stark contrast to back on Coruscant where Pershing is like decommissioning left and right.
Oh yeah, and here's a world, and I think there's some intention there. And I mean, I was going to talk about this at the end of the show, but I'll bring it up now because think about how the First Order. We talked about how the First Order rose from within.
Yeah.
Like, is this planet just one giant example of how that could happen?
Based on the outcome
We don't
of the
have
mystery,
to. We don't have to work. We've got droids to do everything. We're a carefree society. No wonder an evil, fetid movement could fester up and
just wait for its time.
Yeah. I feel like this is just sort of a microscopic look of a macroscopic thing that's going to happen in the future.
Yeah,
it's possible, but at the same time, the First Order pops up on worlds that are governed, not these self-governed worlds.
Interesting. Oh yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's almost like these guys are doing it right.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. At least trying to. It does seem like, and this reminds me in a weird way of Pabu. Where,
Pabu,
but at a different sort of ethical scale. Like, these people aren't afraid of opulence.
No.
Whereas Pabu seemed to be like more like people that were down to earth.
Yeah.
But the same idea. We're above or beyond this conflict or this sort of separatist nationalism that
the bigger galactic
divides the galaxy. We're like,
larger
okay, here we're an island, literally Pabu, an island. Literally, we're a domed city. We're another sort of island.
Oh yeah. Well, outside on the terrace, we learn that the city has been experiencing a series of droid malfunctions. At first, they were innocuous things like unscheduled power cycles and deleted tasks. But then it escalated to traffic accidents and even assault. When Bo tells them that the Mandalorian mercenaries sitting outside are more than capable to deal with the droids, the Duchess tells them that under their constitution, the constables of Plaisir 15 are not permitted to carry blasters and are therefore ill-equipped to deal with the reprogrammed battle droids. Which Bombardier insists have been reprogrammed for civic duty. It also prevents any standing army, aka the Mandalorian privateers, from entering the city. But because Plaisir is a pluralistic society, they recognize that weapons and armor are a part of Bo and Mando's culture. And because the two of them don't necessarily constitute an entire army and they are welcomed guests, they could help them with the droid problem.
It's the only part of the whole episode that didn't make sense to me.
Why is that?
Well, because they don't have to tell the people or anybody if they could just get Axe Woves and Cosca
We'll just let
to
them
do the same thing.
I suppose, just take the two leaders and have them do it. Mind you, the people probably
we're not allowed to have weapons unless you're a Mandalorian because it's part of your culture and we can vote on it. Never mind the whole army of Mandalorians we have outside.
Right.
So that's a little weird one for me. Like,
I actually didn't have a problem with it. I just thought, I mean that they recognize the privateers as a military force, but two Mandalorian individuals who are invited guests is not the same thing.
I mean, I get it. I just, it's
why
not
just
like they were
the other two.
Right. It's not like they were waiting here for them.
No.
And at the same time, rather than hire, I don't know, I'm picking it apart too much. I can feel it in my head now. But rather than hiring a whole group of privateers to do this, protect the planet,
planetary defense.
would you not have just hired two people,
two Mandalorians to hang out in the city? Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know.
All good. This is cool. Now we're in a side quest within a side quest.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Well, I like it just because it's a guy finding a loophole in the rules. Which kind of lines up more with his Imperial background.
Oh,
and it lines up with what happens at the end. So maybe this is where Mando learned it.
Maybe that's a good point. Well, there is a little bit of there's some skin in it for them, because Bombardier says that in exchange that he and the Duchess, they would formally recognize Mandalore as a sovereign system and would petition the New Republic to do the same. The Duchess says that Axe Woves told her that Bo had aspirations to rule Mandalore once again. And when Bo says that those plans have been abandoned, Bombardier says, well, the offer still stands. Well, they recognize
That's
her.
Pretty cool.
They recognize her former leadership. That's kind of cool.
Well, and they go so far as to call her Your Highness and
call her a princess.
Yes. Yeah.
They call her a princess.
Your Grace.
Yeah.
So that makes her a Disney princess now.
Along with Leia.
Always was.
That's right.
Always was.
There's a cool little line here. Funny line. Plays for comedy, and it works so well. Bo looking at Din. What do you think? You had me at battle droids.
That's the best line. That's his best line in 2 seasons.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. That's his best line in 2 seasons for sure.
And of course,
he's been almost too verbose for me. Like, he was so laconic in the first season.
Yeah.
And I realize they need to get some exposition out, and he needs to, to be the misdirect for the leadership of Mandalore for us. But
yeah,
I preferred the character laconic, and so that little the one lines, the little lines.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was a really good line.
This sequence gives us that great sort of look, and an all around look too, because the way she moves around, that holographic train piece on the Duchess's dress, so well done.
Yeah, really nice stuff. Yeah.
Okay, well, they obviously accept the job, and off we go to the Constabulary Operations Center, where Mando and Bo meet with Commissioner Hellgate, who monitors the city through a huge display of monitors. He tells them that all droids were salvaged from Imperial stock that was scheduled for disposal on Carthon. Now, you might remember Carthon was a prison world where the Carthon chop fields are located. It's the location where Miggs Mayfeld was remanded after his incarceration. Comment from Sarah. Sarah says, I was quite surprised that Din left Grogu with the Duchess and Bombardier after only just meeting them. Yeah, especially after saying he doesn't take well to strangers.
Yeah, but then Grogu leaped right to her.
But then she had fishes. I don't know, fishes. Num-nums. I don't know. They did the same thing. It was kind of the same thing they did with Peli. When they went off on the desert.
True.
Hey, we just met you.
They both seem, they're playing sort of soft, well-rounded characters, but they both seem like the least likely people to harm you that I've ever seen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
They're very, like.
I will say this. Before he even said anything at the table, I believed that Bombardier was a reformed. I believe that he's the other side of, he's the opposite of Elia Kane. Mm-hmm. He's someone who invested in the program and actually,
legitimately
came out of it.
After the fact,
has made good on,
just biding her time till
had the original Kool-Aid flushed and drank the new
drank the new Kool-Aid. That's right. Yeah. But remember, we've also seen Grogu. Remember when he choked out Cara Dune?
Yeah.
No, she's a friend. It's okay. I'm not worried about Grogu being left with strangers, because if anything, they should be afraid of him.
I mean, he left her with the squid lady, like the frog mom for a bit.
Yep.
Left her with the in that episode we were talking about earlier, in the charge of that lady while he went off to fight the ATST, and he's left there with Peli multiple times. So I don't know. I think there's a trust now that they've got with one another.
Oh yeah. Well, Hellgate calls the reprogramming a huge success until one day when suddenly it wasn't. He shows Bo and Mando a series of recordings. First, it's a trash collection droid throwing a tantrum. Then it's a B-1 battle droid carrying some boxes for a lady, and it starts tossing the contents of the boxes out. Then a droid valet crashes a land speeder into a wall. And finally, a chef droid terrorizes a group of patrons by spinning the blades on all 6 of its limbs. Having seen enough, Bo suggests that they just turn them off. Turn off the droids. Hellgate points out that there is a failsafe in the form of a giant red button on the console, and that he is actually the one who's responsible to activate it, but because the citizens voted against any interruption to their droid services, he couldn't turn them off if he wanted to. Mando asks why, and he tells them that droid servants have effectively allowed the people to no longer have to work, and they now fill their days in recreation, the arts, and engaging in the planet's direct democracy. Speaking to that, we're voting a lot all the time. If they were to shut down the droids, no one would know how to survive, and the society as they know it would collapse. Getting to the point, the commissioner wants them to find and shut down any rogue droids they can until they can find a way to fix the bigger problem. But before they can get to that task, they have to go to the lower levels to speak with the Ugnaughts there to get a list of the malfunctioning droids.
A quest within a quest within a quest.
Yeah. By the way, while you're doing that side thing for me, I'm going to send you down the street to, to Schmo. And then Schmo's going to
very video game.
Yeah, very much.
It's very video game.
This is the same monitor. It translates camera 5509-549.
Nice.
Yeah. For anybody who cares about that stuff. I really I cheaped out on the language this week because there was just so much going on the streets. I'm like, I need to get my notes done. I'll worry about that later. I did get some fun stuff though, and we will get to it. I just didn't get everything this week. Our commissioner, it's Commissioner Hellgate. That's Christopher Lloyd. I mean, what else do you say about Christopher Doc Brown Lloyd?
The man in the DeLorean?
Yeah, he has 239 acting credits with 8 more projects either complete or in post-production. So the man doesn't appear to be slowing down.
And we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
But I had forgotten about it.
So do you remember when they talked about Christopher Lloyd joining the cast?
Yes.
Do you remember the rumor that he was going to be Bo-Katan's father?
No.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was a rumor that he might play Bo-Katan's father in some kind of flashback or something, but no.
Crazy.
Commissioner,
I'd completely forgotten
Commissioner
that I'd
Hellgate.
heard that he was
Yeah.
but yeah, then second I saw him, I went, oh yeah.
Right. Great Scott. Well, Mando and Bo take a lift down to the lower levels where they meet the Ugnaughts. And as the Ugnaughts all work away on all manner of droids, Bo tries to speak to them. Now, she goes as far as saying that they were sent by the Duchess and Captain Bombardier, but she is just flat outright ignored. But then Mando steps up, and when he speaks to them, he does so in the same way that Queel first spoke to him back on Arvala 7, punctuating his remarks with, "I have spoken." And suddenly all the Ugnaughts perk up and now are interested in what he has to say. Bo and Mando have a little bit of banter here on the way down, and I found it kind of weird that we dug back into Mando's distrust of droids. See what happens when you rely on droids? Are you taking this personally? Just pointing it out. It was cute.
Sore spot.
It was cute. Yeah.
Especially battle droids.
Well, there is that.
Especially battle droids.
That's an interesting point. You want to talk about that now? She says, I haven't seen battle droids since the Clone War. And what's his answer? I have. So does that mean that whole sequence with the Death Watch was not on Concordia? That was somewhere else?
I kind of wondered that myself. Maybe he's not as old as we skew him.
Yeah, maybe not. I suspect
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
it was another planet in the Mandalorian system, and they just, because he says to Grogu, "That's Concordia. That's where I grew up." After the Death Watch came to collect you from wherever the battle droids were attacking.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
what's
also
this say?
it's also likely that that's not the incident he's referring to, and that he just gets around.
That's true too. Yeah, no, that's also possible.
And we've seen from Rebels, and I think, well, we've seen in the comics too. There's pockets of battle droids still
out there, like
still sort of
Japanese
active.
guys
Yeah.
on the islands that don't know the war is over.
Yeah, especially that episode of Rebels where they.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, on a break from work, the Ugnaughts sit down with Bo and Mando, and Mando explains that they have been tasked with hunting down the malfunctioning droids. Now, the female Ugnaught, yes, she is female. Her name is Saphir, tells them outright that there are no such droids. Well, Bo explains that the people are being harmed by malfunctioning droids, but Saphir refutes her, punctuating it with, "I have spoken." Mando tries to smooth things over by telling her that they are in no way suggesting that the Ugnaughts' work is to blame. He notes that the Ugnaughts' skill at droid smithing is legendary, and how they are considered the hardest working species in the galaxy. But like the Ugnaughts, they also have a task to perform, and they have to investigate the dangerous incidents and would greatly appreciate their help. So the Ugnaught woman, Saphir, confers with one of her colleagues, and then she hands Mando a data pad with the locations of the malfunctioning droids. It's rather convenient. Now, our female Ugnaught, her name is, as I said before, it's Saphir. That's she's voiced by actress Dale Dickey. Now, Dale Dickey is an accomplished character actress with 133 acting credits. You might remember her as Beverly in the Prime Video series A League of Their Own. She also played Martha Bozeman back in HBO's True Blood. Also, Patty in the NBC comedy My Name is Earl. She also played Mrs. Davis in Iron Man 3. So yeah, Dale Dickey, another guest star. And they keep coming because there's more. Back on the Hyperloop, Mando and Bo head to the loading docks based on the Ugnaughts' prediction that that's where the next incident is likely to happen. On the way, they have a conversation about how things went with the Ugnaughts. Bo says, "What was that?" And Mando tells her, "I've spent time with the Ugnaughts. There's a particular way you have to communicate with them. Accusing their work of malfunctioning is an insult." I love that they have taken the "I have spoken" thing, and that's not a Queel thing. That's a species trait. I love that.
That's really
I
good.
love that. This episode does more for Ugnaughts than their entire appearance in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
just like this show has done for Tusken Raiders and Jawas.
Yeah, I mean, again, the world building in this episode, it's quite deep. Again, though, it's something
and
that
I
you
love
could
that his
easily-
character is steeped in that information. Like, he might not know what a space wizard is,
right.
Like, but he's got all these other
skills
that apply directly to the galaxy, like how to, like
that he can sign with the Tusken Raiders,
and massives, like come to him, and he knows the ins and outs.
Exactly. Yeah. He just needs to take a few Jawa lessons from Pelly now.
Well, he's got Pelly for now.
That's right. Okay, well, at the loading dock, a B-1 battle droid mans a computer console while supervising several B-2 super battle droids as they carry boxes of cargo onto a freighter. It's not a ship. It's like a water, like a sailing ship. And then they go back to pick up another box. Well, the B-1 droid stops the Mandalorians and informs them that the dock is a restricted area and they shouldn't be there. After demanding to see some identification, Bo tells the droid that they're there on behalf of the Duchess. The B-1 informs them that it's seen the report, but it's had the entire line of loaders undergo maintenance protocols as a safety measure. Meanwhile, Mando, who ignores the B-1, waves a hand in front of the marching droid column looking for any abnormality, but none of the droids react to him, except for the B-1 that tells him, "Don't do that. I wouldn't do that if I were you." Why not? Well, their base function was warfare. So Mando says, I thought they were just checked out, and starts kicking them in the legs as they march past. One of the droids falls, dropping its cargo crate. And when it gets back to its feet, it backhands Mando off his feet and shoves its way past the B-1 foreman and runs off into the night. Bo tries to shoot the fleeing droid, but misses, accidentally striking another worker droid instead. Yeah, and there's the line here in this sequence. I haven't seen battle droids since the Clone Wars. I have. All right, not really. I guess you can call this a guest spot, but no surprise. Matthew Wood is back as our B-1 battle droid voice. Matthew, no stranger to Star Wars. Started off, he's been a sound guy on Star Wars for a long time. But he's also done voice work for, we saw him FaceTime Bib Fortuna back in the book of Boba Fett, and the end of The Mandalorian season 2. He played the animated Wat Tambor in the Clone Wars, as well as the animated Poggle the Lesser. He's also done a bunch of other live action voices, like Odie Mandrell in The Phantom Menace, and a couple of aliens in Coruscant in the speeder chase sequence in Attack of the Clones.
General Grievous.
And yeah, probably most famous as General Grievous. General Kenobi. Who likes Weezer? Sorry. It's probably why I put the Weezer joke in there this week.
Probably.
Well, we have an intense foot chase ensues with the super battle droid running through the streets with total disregard for public safety, toppling and throwing boxes at its pursuers, and finally jumping on the hood of a speeder. Well, Mando and Bo split up in an attempt to box the droid in, and finally Mando is able to tackle the droid when he leaps headfirst through a large plate glass window. Well, the two spill out onto the street where both Mando and Bo blast the droid, bringing the chase to a halt. Now, almost immediately, a bunch of constable droids show up and they rope off the scene as a crime scene using a holographic caution tape, which I thought was kind of cool. Love the holographic caution tape.
The first Orbesh word my brain translated automatically.
That you were actually able to read.
That's the first time I just went, that says caution. Wait a minute, that's Orbesh.
Contextually, it makes sense, right?
Right? Yeah. My brain just did it automatically for a change. I'm getting there.
I love when that happens. I've had a couple. There's some stuff that I was able to sort of loosely figure out. Once you get a couple of letters and you kind of see the context, you can sort of fill in the rest of it.
Yeah.
In this case, when Bo, this is where our police procedural really kind of starts to take off here, because she's now taken the role of lead investigator, and she picks what she calls off the droid spark pad with the name The Resistor on it. And I just love the idea. This is so 1950s dragnet, like it's the hotel book of matches is what it is, right? The spark pad. I love that.
NCIS Mandalore.
Yeah, really. All right. So also I want to take a minute to talk about this B2 droid, because we have never seen a super battle droid move the way that this guy did. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Totally performance captured, obviously, but it was done so well.
Yeah, real good job.
Yeah. It was very, very well done.
The palette of the city reminded me of the failed George Lucas Underworld TV show. If you've ever seen
Star Wars Underworld,
10 minutes of that. This palette and almost that, you know how the 90s CGI had that glare, that glow that they couldn't get rid of. It looks like they kind of put that softness on this whole scene.
They did. Yeah, they
purpose.
really did.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Did you notice that the mod scooters showed up this week?
I missed
didn't.
The mod scooters in the street chase, they run past a stall, and I believe that it's a sales stall. There's 4 mod scooters. They're all white. They're painted all white. So yeah,
not customed out yet.
No, and no extra mirrors or nothing. But yeah, the mod scooters.
Very cool.
They're back. Yeah. And we talked about that before, how we thought that they would not look out of place in a high-tech society.
No.
And sure enough, there they were.
And it is funny too. Like,
what's that?
This is like literally the work district, right?
Yeah.
So it is a bit darker. It's a bit like less light, as opposed to the the high society part where it's all bright and airy.
Right.
might be nighttime too. That dome.
That's
like,
true.
There was a
Yeah,
blue
like there's
sky,
maybe a day-night cycle that is maybe not the same as the planetary rotation. I don't know.
True. Or I mean, maybe they have enough levels. They're somewhat Coruscant-like.
Maybe.
Because they have to go down.
I never
to
even
the
thought
Ugnaughts,
about that. That's true. I never considered
many
that. That's
levels to the
possible.
many levels.
Yeah. All right. Well, where are we at here now? Mando and Bo, they go to the bar. It is in fact called the Resistor. And when they walk into the bar, it's almost like a record scratch.
I was waiting for a line
Complete silence as every droid in the room stops to look at them.
The inverse of the New Hope scene.
Absolutely.
Good.
You're waiting for that.
We don't serve your kind.
Yeah. And then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But we have virtually every droid in live action Star Wars television to date in this room, in this scene. And it's so cool to see them all together. Just a quick rundown here. What is it here? Oh, yeah. They really start going into buddy cop territory at this point.
Yeah.
Like we get the buddy cop stuff
Good
happening
cop,
here.
bad cop.
Yeah. Good cop, bad cop is coming through here on this.
Yeah.
Let me do the talking. You kicking droids wasn't helpful. I found the one that was malfunctioning, didn't I?
That's a little something that, like, because Mando and Cara Dune did a little bit of that in season 1, which is that Star Wars banter.
They did.
It's one of the best things about the original trilogy is the chemistry and the banter between the characters. So that felt like that to me.
Yep. I'm going to run down just a couple of what I saw here in this scene. We've got at least one of everything I'm going to name here. We've got several astromech droids, a chef droid, the rickshaw droid, a couple of the Star Tours pilot droids, various protocol droids, including a snazzy cobalt blue one that I think is very, very nice looking. We have an EV series droid. That's EV like 99, the torture droid from Jabba's palace. 3 B1 battle droids, as well as the taxi droid and the parole droid are all in the room, and many, many more that I didn't name. But then we get our super, super deep cut of the episode, and we get this guy. And this is so awesome if you are a Legends fan, because this is its first on-screen canonical appearance. This is a BLX labor droid from a Servo Droid Incorporated. Now, that's the same company that's responsible for the pit droids and the gatekeeper droid, the big eyeball droid.
Yeah.
All from the same company. Now, in Star Wars Legends, one of these droids, BLX-5, who's actually called Bollocks, for those of you in the UK, you take that however you want. Bollocks actually was a part of Han Solo's crew in 2 BBY 98 years after it had been manufactured. It actually, Bollocks actually serves as, you guys fans of the 1980 Buck Rogers? You know, Tweaky? So Tweaky and Dr. Theopolis, you know how Tweaky wears Dr. Theopolis around his neck? So Bollocks actually carries another droid inside him called Blue Max, and Blue Max is like this little cube that sits inside his chest. This is absolutely a BLX labor droid.
Yeah,
first appeared in the 1979 Legends novel Han Solo at Star's End. That's a fantastic trilogy. If you have not read it, totally recommend go and read it. Was brought forward into canon in the 2018 movie tie-in book Solo: A Star Wars Story, Tales from Vandor. So yeah, the BLX labor droids, specifically Bollocks, actually was brought forward into canon in that book.
Nice.
So yeah, there's your deep cut for the week. All right, at the bar, Mando and Bo go into good cop, bad cop as they question the bartender droid about the droid malfunctions in the city. And how the evidence now points at the bar as somehow being involved. After, wow, what was I trying to say there? After treating the bartender. Treating, I don't know what I was writing there, but that's not what I meant to say. Bo pulls Mando aside to ask what he's doing. Probably interrogating is what I was trying to say. Threatening. Sorry, yes, threatening. Autocorrect. After threatening the bartender, Bo pulls Mando aside to say, "What are you doing?" Well, the bartender actually interrupts them when it says that we want to help. And it and many of the droid patrons are worried about the incidents and that if they continue, the droids will all be replaced by humans.
Such a flip.
The totally inverse. Well, the bartender points out that most of the droids are either refurbished, repurposed, or both, and that some of them date back to the separatist rule, and that the New Republic would send them all to scrap. And in that regard, Plaisir 15 has become a second chance for them, just as it has for humans like Captain Bombardier.
Embrace your AI overlords.
The droid remarks that human life is so short and they don't ask much of them. They meaning humans don't ask much of them. And because organics created them, helping is the least they can do. And with that, all the droids in the room begin to chatter and beep all at the same time as they wave their limbs in agreement. Andy, we've talked about, I know we've said it sort of in a joking way.
This seed, though.
We've talked about droid rights before. Yeah. And this kind of leans into that there is this whole like other society.
Yeah. Like it's not just, you don't just put them in a closet when they're done doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like they're going out, they're going to a bar, they're enjoying a life outside of their purpose. And it's such a weird contrast. Like, oh, please don't take our jobs, humans.
A couple of weeks ago, I asked if the taxi droid had actually visited the places that it was recommending,
and it's
Pershing to go and visit.
On this, it's quite possible.
I'm inclined to think that it really did.
Yeah.
Recreationally
to develop its own opinions.
Yeah. And I mean, what's the other thing we talked about? The droid Gatra, that there is a there is a droid Gatra out there, a crime syndicate of droids.
It really makes you feel like the ownership of droids is more akin to slavery than it's just
than ownership
acceptable in the Star Wars galaxy.
That's right. Mando says to Bo, "You're wasting your time. You can't reason with droids." And Bo, has this like, I won't say it's a character shift, but she points out to him, their behavior is programmed. All they do is reason. Like this to me is less good cop, bad cop. And this is more of that. We talked about how these two characters may at the same time be having this ideology shift.
Yeah.
And this is more of that looking inward at each other, I think.
Yeah. Because Mando's backsliding on it.
Yeah, exactly. But he does say, he does get the last word here. They're also programmed not to harm organics. How's that working out? Bo, you're not helping. Just because the malfunctioning droids happen to visit here doesn't mean that this one is in on it. Absolutely.
And that's like the justice rule. You're still innocent until
proven
guilty.
That's true. Ready for your next guest spot?
Yeah.
This one this one caught me off guard. I didn't know this until I looked this up. Our bartender droid, that's Seth Gable. Now, Seth is an accomplished actor with 39 acting credits to his name. You might recognize him as Walter in the ABC series Big Sky, or possibly as Cotton Mather on the WGN series Salem. Or if you go all the way back to the days of Fox TV, he played Lincoln Lee on the series Fringe. However, he also happens to be married to Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, he's sleeping with the director.
Hey, man, I got a job for you on my new show. You want to come?
And he can only get the role of bartender.
Voiceover at that.
But Star Wars.
That's true. Yes, Star Wars. Well, in the bartender's office, Bo asks if it has a record of what the suspect droids had ordered. Well, the bartender tells him, no, that's not how it works here. There is no selection of beverages like there would be with organics. Instead, all the droids are served something called nepenthe, which is a viscous lubricant that protects against mechanical wear while delivering program-refreshing subparticles. Mando posits that consuming nepenthe is what's reprogramming the droids, and the bartender says that it patches programming as the commands of the mainframe change. Oh, the bartender then flips through a series of data cards on the desk, and it determines that all the malfunctioning droids consumed nepenthe from the same batch. So we should probably talk about nepenthe here for a little bit. This is an interesting thing here, given this whole societal thing with the droids. Now, nepenthe is a Greek word. Figuratively, it means that which chases away sorrow.
So it's the equivalent of
Is
robot beer.
Droid booze?
Yeah,
Wine,
it chases
yeah.
away your
Booze,
you
yeah,
drown your
yeah.
sorrows.
The
Isn't
word
this what
nepenthe. Go ahead.
Bathe them in? Like when they bathe,
When they do the
talk
oil
about an oil
baths.
bath.
I wonder.
Maybe.
I
And,
wonder.
you know, the reason Chopper resists it so much is because it corrects some of his
His
quirky programming for a while.
murder
His
botness.
murder tendencies.
And that would explain more, like when 3PO goes in, he's like, "Oh, thank the maker."
Yeah, really. This is oil bath is going to be so wonderful.
Or why that one droid we were postulating, like why R5 would never have gotten a bath yet.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it has something to do with the droid version of midi-chlorians.
So granted, I am not versed in the classics, but the nepenthe as a word first appeared in the 4th book of Homer's Odyssey.
Cool.
In that, it is considered a magical potion. It is given to Helen by Polydamna to quiet all her sorrows with forgetfulness. I think contextually it's kind of the same thing, but again, I've never read the Odyssey, so I don't know if there's a broader meaning there that I'm missing, or even maybe something more specific.
I mean, it's the equivalent of 50 the opioids for 50s
really.
housewives.
Malt liquor?
Being abused? Pop one of these.
Well, later, Bo and Mando visit a coroner's office where with the help of a lab technician, they extract a sample of nepenthe from the remains of a super battle droid and analyze it for programming subparticles. Now, with the particles isolated, Mando asks if there's a chance that they could still be active. Well, suddenly, the lab assistant droid that looks like a repainted interrogator droid unleashes a pair of surgical lasers and tries to cut down the 3 humans in the room. In the fray, the lab tech is nicked by one of the lasers and she falls off her chair. Now everyone takes cover while the droid spins wildly with both its lasers. And Bo manages to squeeze off a shot from her blaster, but she misses. But that's okay, because Mando is able to get around behind it and uses the Darksaber to cut the droid in half.
That droid was almost the Mandalore.
I mean, remember that, because that, as funny as that is, that's legit. There is some legitimacy to that. All right, Bo, yeah, they're still active. Get our next guest spot here. It's our lab technician. That's Jen Kober, actress and comedian. Jen has 30 acting credits in both film and television, most of which have been one-off roles, but she has done 6 episodes of the HBO original Dream, where she played Andrea Kazayu. As well as 4 episodes on Out TV's The Browns, where she played Mercy. Now, Jen has also appeared in 2 episodes of the 10th season of American Horror Story, where she played the coveted role of hostess.
Wow, 10 seasons now. Geez.
Yeah, 10 seasons.
I'm so far behind on that show.
With the danger finally averted and the sample analyzed, the lab tech is finally able to show Bo and Din the results. Now, she first zooms in on the particles before she increases the magnification even further, revealing that the nepenthe has been laced with nanodroids. Now, Mando points out some striations on one of the microscopic droids and asks, "What's that?" Well, the lab tech tells him that it's just an aberration in the metal. But Bo leans in closer to take a look, and she realizes it's actually writing. Altering the orientation of the characters, the tech realizes that they're looking at a chain code. And with the chain code, they can determine where the droids came from. It turns out that this super battle droid was originally manufactured by the Techno Union and had been in cold storage for 4 years. And it also didn't arrive on Plaisir 15 through the usual droid acquisition process. Well, following the chain code even further, the lab tech is able to determine that they were actually requisitioned by the Plaisir 15 security office, a transaction that doesn't appear on the government registry and also happens to be illegal.
Oops.
They made a point of slapping the Techno Union logo on this, which is pretty cool. Now, something I could not confirm because I don't have the resolution on my monitors to dig in enough. Apparently, hidden in the chain code in the Aurebesh is the phrase, "Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads."
Nice.
I cannot confirm that, but I am told that
cool.
that is in the chain code.
That'd be cool.
As a nice little nod to.
It's always the biggest celebrity.
Absolutely. And it is finally revealed that it was none other than Security Commissioner Hellgate that secretly brought the droids in and has intentionally caused them to malfunction. And I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling Mandalorians.
Scooby-Doo ending.
All right, where am I at here? I just want to double check that I don't want to spoil this. Oh, I'm going to spoil it if I do it, and I don't want to do that. Okay. This blew me away, and I think it probably caught you guys off guard too. It's no surprise. We talk about this stuff almost weekly, that the number of can I call them trolls?
Sure.
Yep.
Within the Star Wars fandom. Yep. I mean, there's an entire term, the fandom menace.
Yes.
Based on how vitriolic some of this certain segment of the fan population can be.
They can be fickle.
I'm completely blown away because the trolling award for the week does not go to the fan community. It actually goes to Lucasfilm for this little nugget here. When you translate it and realize that it actually says, "This means nothing. However, fans may interpret the hell out of it." That last line, flip that around. WTF is it? What the flip is it?
Nice.
Yeah. And I feel like that's directly for us going,
of course,
why doesn't that wall say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I said at the beginning, we have the luxury or the advantage of watching this stuff microscopically, and sometimes you get subverted.
Yeah. And allowed to have fun.
I really think that this is actually the literal translation of what happens at the end, because I honestly think that we're being trolled again.
Oh, you do.
This is a conversation Lauren and I had extensively, and the thought originated with her. I can't take credit for it. She really thinks that they're literally making us talk about what we're talking about.
Oh, interesting.
So we don't see this coming.
Gotcha. Keep your eye over here while this hand's doing something over here.
Right.
Oh,
right.
interesting.
And no spoilers, but some people have already seen the last 2 episodes because they showed them at Celebration.
Oh, really? Okay.
And people are like going,
I'm going to keep my nose out of stuff because I mean, as I was preparing this week, I was writing up until yesterday at 7:00. And I mean, this Celebration stuff, because it's in London and we're in Canada.
Yeah,
we're getting this stuff
late.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm like, I can't focus on that right now, because if I do, there'll be no review this week. They'll just,
I was kind of staying dark. I was kind of staying dark, trying to do other things this weekend that were more personal. And then I saw one action figure release, and then I saw another one, and then I saw a group of them. And then I went, oh, I'll just look at whatever. I'll just look into it. And then,
and then suddenly the lid's blown off. And next thing you know, your hair's on fire.
And I watch a trailer 50 times.
Yeah, you and me both. Okay. Well, Bo and Mando head back to the security office where Commissioner Hellgate tries to just brush them off. But when they reveal that they know about the Nepenthe and the nanodroids, Hellgate jumps out of his chair and he opens the cover to the red failsafe button. Turns out it's not actually a failsafe at all, but it's really just a big doomsday button that will instantly convert the entire planet's labor force back into battle droids that will run amok. At a standoff, Bo tells the commissioner there is no way out for him and he should just give up. But the commissioner scoffs at the notion, telling the Mandalorians that he never gave up to the corrupt Republic or the Empire, and he certainly won't give up to them. When Bo calls him a separatist, Hellgate snaps back, calling it a pejorative term, and that he supports democracy. He calls Count Dooku a visionary that was cut short in his prime by the Jedi. But before he can finish the sentence, Bo lets off an electroshock dart from one of her wrist launchers, and Hellgate is shocked stiff, falling flat on his back. And
I feel like, because he says Jedi executioner, I feel like he was about to name Anakin Skywalker there.
Oh, yeah. He says it's enforce. The line
Jedi
is
enforcer.
Jedi and then it trails off in the script. In the subtitles.
The Jedi enforcer, Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, maybe. Bo breaks the tension when she looks at Din and has the line, politics. I thought that was funny. Well, back in the rotunda, Captain Bombardier and the Duchess play some sort of weird game, and it might as well be right out of the Flintstones as the captain gathers up a giant arthropod, which immediately curls itself into a ball. Then the Duchess tosses the arthropod ball in an attempt to get it through a series of holographic rings. Well, fortunately for her, Grogu uses the Force to help her out, and she makes this impossible shot passing the arthropod through all 4 scoring rings.
It's a little bit Alice in Wonderlandish.
It was kind of like the croquet.
Yeah.
Get
down there, hedgehog.
I kind of wonder if that's kind of what they were going for here.
Maybe.
Well, the merriment is soured when Mando and Bo walk in with Commissioner Hellgate, who's now in cuffs. They inform the royal couple that it was Hellgate all along that was responsible for the malfunctioning droids. And what slide am I on here? Oh, yeah, we're on the right one. Hellgate, in his final outburst, calls the planet unrecognizable since the arrival of Bombardier. The Duchess is clearly upset by the revelation, and she tells Hellgate how disappointed she is, considering how well he once served her family. She tells him that Captain Bombardier is the love of her life and that his heart is true. Bombardier's, that is.
Mm-hmm.
And she asks the commissioner, is there no room for a little forgiveness? The commissioner apologizes for disappointing her and posits that maybe one day he can earn such forgiveness. And she doesn't rule that out either. But as a matter of punishment, let's not incarcerate the guy. No. We'll banish him to the moon of Paraquat. With the droid crisis averted, the Duchess grants the Mandalorians an audience with the privateers. Not only that, she presents them with the key to Plaisir and the promise of always being welcomed in their domed paradise. But that's not all. In a strange impromptu ceremony, she takes a sword from one of the guards and she confers a knighthood on Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
She says, you are now a knight of the ancient order of independent regencies. I cannot find a reference for that term in any Star Wars lore. So, and I tried to dig down sort of on the actual phraseology of that. And I mean, coming up with a regent is a person appointed to govern a state pro tempore because the monarch is either a minor, is absent, incapacitated, or unable to discharge the powers and duties of the monarchy, or the throne is vacant and the new monarch has not yet been determined. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand how you can have an ancient order of knights that's there to protect independent worlds, because why would one knight have any authority anywhere else if they're independent? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like a weird.
Why would they give space wizards the same opportunity?
I don't.
I honestly think that it might be a bigger thing than we think.
Maybe
he's a knight now. I mean, I just think it may come back as a point of
that he has an actual title,
like a status within independent systems. Like this is one of the
right.
Like that other faction of the galaxy, which is sort of
Yep.
in turmoil right now.
Yep.
We haven't really gotten into that, and that's the fact that during the Clone Wars, and which was sort of shattered under the Empire, but
Yep.
that Mandalore was the head
of like
of
1,500 systems,
independent systems, a third faction in the galaxy,
right?
Separatist nor Republic.
That's right.
And so I think he's a knight of that. And then they offer their sort of legal vetting of Mandalore to the New Republic.
That's right.
It puts him in a position of like, I don't know, not power, but it's a cool little, right. It's a cool little, like,
there's more legitimacy there.
Is he going to be the mythosaur? Is he going to be a knight of the independent republic or independent? It's a cool little deep that may go absolutely nowhere, and I could be reading into it like it's the Ahsoka trailer.
That's fair. That's what we do here.
Yep.
I just want to point this out. Does anybody else remember when the bad guys were banished to a moon?
Yeah.
Was this a good idea, sending him Hellgate off to the moon? Like, should you not put him in a cell somewhere where you can keep an eye on him?
Or maybe not hire guys named Hellgate.
This part kind of bugged me, though.
Why? What's that?
This is by the new intern, Jim Grievous. He's going to be with us for a while.
This is Dave
Don't worry
Vader.
about the cybernetic hand.
Yeah. Decepticons. It's in the name.
Yeah. But like, what was his end game with all this?
That's a great question.
It's like,
I don't know.
I mean, if he destabilizes it and turns them all back to battle droids,
hoping maybe
he's in charge, but
I think he was hoping maybe that this would destabilize them enough that they vote to go back to a system
where people had to work, or yeah.
You know, he feels threatened by that, or it's curious that we keep doubling down on a dead separatist leader a lot in the Filoniverse. We mentioned Dooku a lot. Tales of the Jedi was heavy on the Dooku.
Yeah. We've
had several Dooku references in other shows, and now again,
Batch going right to his castle.
But this is a great opportunity to point out. I've said this before. We've harped on this quite a number of times. Like, guys, if you have not read the novelizations of the films, if that's the only Star Wars you read, go read the novels for the movies, because we find out in the novelization of Attack of the Clones and in Revenge of the Sith, Dooku actually believes that he's doing the right thing by leading the separatist society into a new era. He thinks that he's actually going to be the one to overthrow and to defeat the Emperor.
Yeah.
I say this a lot, but he does not lie one iota to Obi-Wan in that scene on Geonosis.
He absolutely doesn't.
He tells the perfect truth.
Yep. I think that part of that is that whole, like, he phrases it as a question. What if I told you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you?
Yeah.
You know, like,
what if I told you I saw a mythosaur?
Yeah. I don't know.
Right? I mean, very, very much so.
Yeah.
And the thing, and one of the things, like, you know, Qui-Gon Jinn would never join you, but I'm not so sure that a living Qui-Gon Jinn might not have.
Yeah. Being his master and all, right?
I don't know, but I think that's where Tales really set the tone for, like, nothing that Qui-Gon could have done was going to persuade Dooku to come back.
No.
He was already sort of gone that way. In the same sense, in a very no, that's not right. I was going to sort of compare him to Pong Krell, but that's kind of different. Pong Krell just like legit turned to the dark side.
But Qui-Gon was the nail in the coffin there.
Was just the loss of Qui-Gon.
No reason to go back. I might as well fully try to defeat this Emperor from
I've
inside.
lost my.
That's the temptation of the dark side. It happens to Luke in Legends.
Yeah.
I'm going to defeat the Emperor by turning to the dark side, and then I'll just be able to throw that off because, you know,
that's right. Because once I've done that, I'll be fine. Once he's out of the way, it'll be fine. Yeah. Really interesting stuff.
Did we want to throw any more comparisons out about the society here?
Go for it.
Similar to, say, WALL-E.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's just kind of living, going about their day, getting entertained, doing arts, whatever, and the droids just take care of everything. But in this aspect, the droids are not coming from a malevolent perspective. They're just like, you know, it's okay to help out these humans.
And we're not at the point where we see people, you know, like Hellgate is walking on his own feet. Like, they're not being like carted around like Slavin. Like, we're not that far gone.
No. but it's like a nice balanced system, right?
Yeah, it's there. The trappings are there, and you can see how it could get easily that far.
Go
Yeah.
He's only been there as the king or the duke, I guess.
9 years.
Right. He's 9 years tops, right?
Yeah, 5 to 9
plus whatever time it took him to graduate the program.
Well, this is it, right? Yeah.
So this is a new society.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that he still wears the like the pin.
The A.
I have to.
He's still wearing. He's now he now lives on an independent world.
And it's funny, one of the things I also talk about. Sorry, go ahead. As
an independent world, this is a question I have. They make it a point of saying we're an independent world, we're a democracy, but because of his imperial service, we're not allowed to have an army.
Because she says, and this, because she actually references the Coruscant Accords.
Yeah.
So are you an independent or not?
They're playing by galaxy rules.
That was my argument with Lauren.
Maybe it's.
I'm saying they're an independent, pluralistic society, and they don't fall under that authority. And she's like, well, they must. Maybe. They must still. I will petition the New Republic to also recognize you.
Yeah.
So they're still lying to themselves in terms of who actually is in control.
No, that's so true. That's true. Think of it as maybe like a UN kind of deal, like we're stronger together, but like you're not, I'm not ruled by you.
And as long and it's not like they're going to come and they would rather you signed up to the charter.
Yeah.
Because there are benefits to that, but they're not going to come and invade you
and make you do it. Yeah.
The way the Empire would have.
Right.
If you want to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I mean, like, it could just be like a sanction, right? Okay. If you have a standing army, then you're on your own. You're really on your own.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You're like,
and it could be it's just in the literature too. It could be like, no former imperial shall govern a city, state, or planet. And, and it could have nothing to do with him. It's just, that's the literature.
It's such an interesting contrast though, to what we saw with Navarro. Okay. Navarro's they're not a charter member. We're not going to send forces to help you with your pirate problem. Now here you are on Plaisir 15. It's like, oh no, you're not a member, but you can't have an army. Like, it's like they're having it both ways, which is
and that's any victor will do that.
I guess. I mean,
how do you maintain peace in a galaxy?
Yeah.
Let alone, after two countries go to war.
Especially when you're dismantling your entire military infrastructure. Or
and
most of your
more planets. So if you think of this planet and they're like hoarding droids for benevolent purposes. There's got to be planets out there that are hoarding X-wings, hoarding, like
getting that first order.
Like you sort of the same thing, like because the numbers are vast, right?
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but talking about military infrastructure, that cruiser, that Arquitans cruiser, should have a complement of TIE fighters on it.
Should.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they destroyed at least one of them when they crashed the shuttle into it, but there should be like 3 or 4 more in there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to see if those make an appearance.
Maybe.
All right, shall we move on?
A ton of troops that didn't die too.
Well, yeah, really. Presuming that it was fully kitted out.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
What about? Oh no, Luke killed all the Dark Troopers.
Yes, he did.
That's right. He went right through them. All right. Okay, where are we at here? On the Hyperloop, Bo and Mando head towards the landing field. Now, Mando tries to reassure Bo that she is their leader and they will follow her. But Bo doesn't share that sense of confidence. Instead, she asserts that Axe Woves is their leader now. Then Mando asks her, well, then what's your play? And looking at him, she answers, I'll know when I get there. Man, she's I feel like she's not 100% sure of herself.
She's a bit shook.
A little bit, yeah.
Mm. Well, see, I saw an interview with Katie where she had said that Bo's mindset here is that she's forgotten about the sword.
Oh,
and for a change, she's put the people of Mandalore first.
Before that.
Before her personal goals.
Yeah, interesting.
So maybe she's purified enough to wield the weapon in the first place.
Maybe that's that whole those plans have changed when the Duchess is talking to her. Yeah.
Right.
Well, she keeps going on, enough blood has been spilled by us against us.
Right. That's going to come up here shortly in the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. At the landing field, we see the Mandalorian fleet marshaled for their next task, whatever that might be. And the number of Mandalorians on the field numbers somewhere in the dozens. There are over 30 that I could actually make out, and probably more that I couldn't. They all stop to take notice as Mando and Bo approach on foot. Now, Axe Woves asks them if they've come to join the mercenaries. And Bo says no, she's come here to reclaim her fleet. Axe says a fleet that's not hers anymore, and that he's now in command, and it's a position which he's become quite fond of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then stepping forward, Bo challenges Axe to single combat, and he accepts. All right, it's going to get interesting here because the two warriors trade blows with neither of them holding back, and while each of them land their fair share of hits, neither one lets up. They use every Mandalorian trick at their disposal, from concealed vibroblades and wrist rockets to jetpack-assisted leaps and lariats. But when Bo finally gains the upper hand, she presses her vibroblade to Axe's throat and asks if he yields. He tells her that she will never be the true leader of their people because she won't even take the Darksaber from Din Djarin, telling her that he is the one that Bo should be challenging. But Bo is a changed woman and tells Axe that enough Mandalorian blood has been spilled by their own hands, and she gets up, observing the stunned faces of the crowd that's now gathered around them. Facing the crowd, Bo says that Mandalorians are stronger together. But then Axe gets to his feet, declaring that a misguided zealot who isn't even a Mandalorian possesses the Darksaber. But Bo refutes Axe and tells him that Din Djarin has taken the creed and chooses to walk the same way that their ancestors did. And that makes him as much a Mandalorian as they were, and certainly as much as any of them here on the field are.
Super important.
Still not convinced, Axe reminds Bo that according to their ways, the ruler of Mandalore must possess the Darksaber.
Super important, though, that line that she says.
As much as anybody here.
The original Mandalorians were not humans.
No, they were.
Mandalore was.
What do you call them?
Yeah,
we talked about them before.
Right.
The Aboriginal from Coruscant that were taken,
right,
and basically raised. Mandalore.
So every single Mandalorian is descendant from a colonist.
Yeah. That's right.
And
so like at what point are we going to have the mask come off at some point and be like,
I don't know,
Rhodey and Mandalorian?
She's arced. The Bo-Katan is arced so much from Clone Wars, where she will not allow Darth Maul, a non-Mandalorian, to wield the blade. Yeah. And with all the best intentions.
Yeah.
But it's coming from the xenophobic point of view that she has learned to abandon. She's evolved.
Yeah, that's right.
This fight was awesome.
Excuse me. Yeah, it totally was. I quite enjoyed that. I love the wrist rockets. Like, when I say not holding back, like he would have killed her. There's no question. He was out to kill her.
He punched her in the face way more times.
Well, there is that.
She put him down once, and he, do you yield? Nope. And then
that's true.
Again. Do you yield?
Got him in that chokehold.
Yeah, he doesn't
only when they flipped off the wing. What's that?
He doesn't yield at the end either. He never says I yield. She asks him, and he just says, "You should be fighting this other guy."
Yeah, and she won't kill him.
No,
and
she had him by the neck.
Absolutely. I mean, the point was in the soft.
Yeah,
it was in there. We saw it. But that's reflective of her again. That shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
From what to what, we're not sure yet, but there is a shift.
The best leaders are the ones that aren't sure they're worthy.
Don't want to be.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's why I'm so cool with what happens next.
Okay. I just want to point this out. This isn't necessarily a guest spot, but I thought this is so cool that I could not talk about this. If you were paying attention in the background, you can actually see him there in one of the slides. Lateef Crowder, one of the gentlemen who actually physically embodies the Mandalorian, actually gets some FaceTime this week.
Nice.
And there he is in the background playing one of the privateers. Super, super cool. The other one, of course, Brendan Wayne. Obviously, we don't get to see his face because he is in the Mandalorian costume right now. But that's cool that both of them got to be on set, on screen at the same time, and that Lateef gets to show his face. I think that's super cool that they did that. Unless, of course, that's another actor, and I'm completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that is him. Where are we? Okay, from behind, Mando approaches and says, "Then she shall have it." Holding up the Darksaber, he offers it to Bo, saying that it belongs to her. But Bo says, as she did before, it's not a gift to be given, no matter how well intended. Stepping past her, he tells her it's not a gift. Then, facing Axe, along with the rest of the Mandalorian privateers, Din tells them how he was captured when he went to Mandalore, and the Darksaber was taken from him. That's a lie. Well, that's not true. That is true.
He was disarmed.
It was taken from him. But it was Bo-Katan that rescued him and slayed his captor and defeated the enemy that defeated him. Pausing for a moment, he then asks, would this blade not belong to her? No one even twitches, let alone says a word. So Mando asks the same question. Would it not be hers? And with a slow nod, Axe Woves agrees. Yes, it would belong to Bo-Katan. And with his acceptance, the posture of the remaining Mandalorians changes as they all begin to accept just what he has. Turning back to Bo, Mando holds out the Darksaber and says, I return this blade to its rightful owner. Bo slowly accepts the offer, and with Din Djarin standing at her side, she holds the Darksaber out beside her, and she ignites the blade as we cut to black. All right, I'm going to get it all out here now so we can get into the actual debate of it. I will admit that I was not happy with the way that the transfer of the Darksaber went. I can accept how it all played out, but as I've said earlier this week, I have a problem with how fast and loose that they've been playing with the symbology of the thing, that somehow we went from this, and this probably stems from the visual stuff we saw in the Clone Wars. We've gone from somebody having to defeat the wielder in combat in a duel to just having to defeat the possessor of the thing, whether they use it in combat or not.
Sure.
And as I said, let's face it, picking the Darksaber up off the floor of the cave isn't the same thing as rending it from the clutches of your defeated opponent, whether they're dead or just defeated. They're not the same thing.
No.
In my opinion, the way that this just played out kind of devalues the significance of the Darksaber as the proxy crown
on purpose.
But it leans into that sort of thing that you had talked about earlier about we're going to be moving away from that, and the mythosaur is the thing to be looking at. And I feel the sooner we do away with the Darksaber in this context, the better, because Darksaber or not, somebody's going to ride the mythosaur, and when they do, they're going to lead the people.
Well, you're going to have a split. This is the split that I've been talking about.
Yep.
This is the schism. Yep. These Mandalorians, the mercenaries, we'll call them, for lack of a better group term.
The privateers.
Yeah. Are Camp Blade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the zealots,
the children of the watch,
are Camp Mythosaur.
Right.
It can't be lost on us that Din Djarin walks among them in and out for sure, but for 2 years in and out, come and go with the sword all you want.
Yep.
You know, I told you you're not welcome here, but you can still come and ask questions apparently. But you're the possessor of the sword, and not one of them recognizes him as the leader. And Paz Vizsla only challenges him for the sword, probably
if anybody has a right to it, because it's my ancestor.
Right, because that's likely one of the first times he's ever heard the tale, because she just tells it right then.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And he goes, wait, that's my ancestor. Maybe I should test this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. What I'm really okay with here is the visual.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
There's an interview with Katie. You'll probably see it later on in the week. She did some celebration interviews and stuff, and they'll trickle out if you didn't watch them live. But her and Bryce Dallas Howard went over how Bo should be holding the sword. Like, they shot it like 9 times.
Oh yeah, over the head.
What looks the most heroic? She said she can't lift her head above her arm in the armor, in the hero armor.
Yeah.
So they actually just settled on this, and she said she felt really good because she's still trepidatious. She still really doesn't believe.
Am I the one?
The actress is saying that the character doesn't believe that she's worthy yet.
That ties right into the next point I want to make, because I said there's a possibility here that she's no longer convicted the same way she was when she defeated the cyborg, because that was before she saw the mythosaur.
Yeah.
Right. So she's still on that. I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Well, now she's seen the mythosaur, and she's had this
epiphany,
this shift, epiphany. And we won't know the answer until she goes to use it again as a weapon. But there is every possibility that she's going to light that thing up and be just as clumsy as Din Djarin has been. That suddenly she's not able to use it.
Right. I completely agree with you. And I'm 100%. And I just thought about this while we were reviewing the episode.
Sure.
I'm 100% convinced that Din Djarin got the idea of the loophole from the idea that they could carry their weapons openly in that society because of that loophole. I think he learned the bureaucracy there and he employed it.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know that he was defeated by that thing in combat or not. Just that he was.
So that's exactly it.
Right?
He tells them a story.
Right.
I was defeated. She defeated the thing that defeated me.
And
There's no details.
Facts.
There's no details.
Facts. Absolutely, he does. Yeah.
So
I buy it 100%. I'm okay with it 100%. Where this week I wasn't, because if we went by the rule of law, and I sent you the novel that I wrote,
my God, if you follow
all the different scenarios that end up with Luke Skywalker actually being the Mandalore.
That's right.
And for the fans, I could go through a couple right now. Like,
sure.
Pre Vizsla versus Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan wins, but Pre Vizsla flees. Obi-Wan wins, but Pre Vizsla flees. He wins the sword. Obi-Wan is the Mandalore who was defeated by Vader, who was defeated by Luke. Luke is the Mandalore.
That picture I sent you guys from the sequence in the lab. And it's like this droid had Bo-Katan pinned down, Din Djarin slated with the Darksaber. He's the rightful holder.
Right.
Right.
But if we went through the rule of law, the sword would never ever fallen into Moff Gideon's hands in the first place.
Well, and that ties into what I said before. We don't know how that happened. And I still say
only legit if we want to say like, I'm going to challenge you for the weapon, or I'm going to use the weapon in combat.
Yeah.
And then I lose the weapon outright. Then the Emperor becomes the Mandalore.
I actually think that's
Maul.
Yeah.
And he's defeated by Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is still the Mandalore.
I do believe, though, based on that visual stuff, that was the expectation by and large from the larger fan community. That's the way it was presented to us. We saw it in Pre Vizsla's hand. We saw Darth Maul run him through, kill him, and take it. We just assumed that's how it works, and I think that's that's been sort of implied all along. And now we have this like case of where no, the rules are a little more fast and loose, and we can kind of play around with that, and that is causing this like.
But that might have been inferred by us, because the first time it ever changed hands, like, and I don't mean us, I mean the fandom,
the fan community,
the fan community, because the first time we ever seen a fight challenge for it was Maul. Previously, it was passed down father to son.
Handed down through the Vizsla family line.
No combat required. So this rule of combat is either new or invented by Maul. But there is a culture, and we see it just before this. There is a culture of challenging somebody like a Klingon for rulership of the tribe.
Yeah, like a warrior.
And it doesn't involve the sword. So either way, loophole or through actual combat, she gets that sword. 100%.
Kind of wonder though, like
beat axe wolves for leadership of the tribe.
You've brought this up before, and you've probably watched the episodes more recently than I have. We talk about the Darksaber being handed down through the Vizsla line, but there's also like, how long has Satine been ruling for when her pacifist movement? How long have they been in power? Because there's a period of time before that where they were a warrior culture, and maybe pre-Satine, it was a case of you have to have the Darksaber to be the ruler.
Well, see, all that I could find, aside from like the canon references and stuff, because I went on a deep dive, and all I could find was that the sword was the sigil of House Vizsla. Yeah, and House Wren was under that
they align themselves with. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like Game of Thrones, kind of. That's one
kind
of
of like
the
Japanese the daimyo system, like the
right. Exactly.
the shogunate,
exactly.
the shogunate.
And all that possession of the sword did at that time was that you were the leader of Death Watch, who was the ruling class on Concordia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing to do with
that's
the actual
irrefutable.
leader. So you got to think that Satine's father was leader of Mandalore before that and never wielded the sword.
Yeah,
Always these Death Watch outliers who were considered terrorists by the people of Mandalore wielded the sword. This is a new prophecy. And that I still say that the Mythosaur prophecy trumps it.
Sure.
And that I think now we're going to just have a cool weapon.
On the subject of this is Lucasfilm playing with us, forcing us to talk about this stuff.
Trolling us. Yes.
I just want to add one more thing to that, because here in this scene we have four things going on. We have what Din Djarin believes the Darksaber is. We have what Bo-Katan believes it is. We have what Axe Woves and the Privateers think it is. And then we have that story that just conveniently leaves out all the details. So this is from a certain point of view exemplified.
Yeah. Absolutely. But there is one place, if you were to lay all those stories on a line and have them intersect, there is only one place it intersects, and that's with her holding the blade in this scene.
Yeah.
Where all those four paths cross over. This is that scene, and it couldn't go any other way.
I was discussing this in another online forum earlier this week, and I said this is the second time in her lifetime that it's been handed to her with her not really having to do anything for it. At least nobody bowed down this time. Remember when Sabine hands it to her, and everybody just drops to a knee. This
I said that earlier in the week, and that's a leader of Mandalore that we shouldn't discount either.
Sabine Wren. Sure. Does that effectively remove her from doing stuff going after Ezra? Her love lost?
Well, I mean, it depends on, now that we've announced a Dave Filoni movie to tie all the threads together. Not necessarily.
Do you think it's going to be sooner or later? Did they really talk about when to expect that?
No, but later. I would assume later. 25, 26.
I'm thinking
later.
There's at least one more season of The Mandalorian.
You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. And I actually I think that there's some weight to the rumors that Grogu and Daisy Ridley will be a thing, like
they'll be tied together somehow.
I don't think that you're going to. You won't have a non. There's a lot of people. How do I say this? There's a lot of people that are Star Wars fans that I talk to. That have never seen these shows, and they're still huge Star Wars fans.
Yep.
But they know who Baby Yoda is.
Yeah.
The pop culture thing, and so I don't think they're going to make a feature film that doesn't have him in it, in terms of the Filoniverse movie, and it makes crazy financial and.
Yes, it does.
You know what I mean? To put him
it does.
and beside Daisy Ridley.
That's so true. That's true.
I got that, feeling.
We got 2 episodes left of The Mandalorian, which don't currently have titles. Not that they've been published. If they've been leaked, I am not aware of them. However, chapters 23 and 24, both of them directed by Rick Famuyiwa. Chapter 12 next week, co-written. This is the next one co-written by Dave and John, and then the finale directed by Rick. So in the realm of 2-ish hours of Mandalorian, all under one director to wrap it up. I want to share this. I have a tweet that I screen capped the other day, yesterday actually. Where did I put it? That says, oh my gosh, okay, I know where I put my own stuff. There it is. This says, this is from Star Wars Holocron on Twitter, who says, this is right from Celebration. Rick Famuyiwa says season 3's last 2 episodes will bring resolution to The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So, Boba fans, keep your eyes open, because I think
she's been tasked to bring all Mandalorians back under the banner.
Yeah,
right. So why wouldn't you drop in and tell and
yeah,
you know,
I don't know.
Well, but you are Mandalorian, even if you think
absolutely.
you're not.
Yeah, just show up. Just show up.
Well, to put my spin on that.
Yeah, sure.
Going back to the first episode of the season where Mando drops in and she says, you know, just wave that thing around, they'll follow you.
That's
wherever.
right. Yeah, sitting on her throne.
And then having her perspective change when she sees the mythosaur. And going back to last season when, you know, he tried to hand it to her and she's like, no, I'm not taking that. I can't take it unless
she even said no on the field.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but having softened that position and knowing she needs to get, you know, Axe Wolves and all them back under.
Well, here's the other thing.
Wave it around until they're doing her bidding, and then
all of those, you know, she presumably when she says those plans were abandoned, came with the fact that everybody up and left her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think she's feeling right now? Everything I've ever wanted, with the exception of the Mandalorian throne itself, I now have. You could double down on that. And like I said, maybe she's not as convicted because of the mythosaur thing. On the other hand, she could be more convicted than ever now that she is this close to having everything she ever wanted.
Well, she's got the armor whispering in her ear, let's go retake Mandalore.
Well, this is it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So
just
she
the way
could,
that
she could be just as lethal with it as we saw her in the Cyborg episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there were two, you know, if there are two prophecies and you could sort of
pick the best of both,
wield them both.
Yeah.
Like if you ride the mythosaur and wield the weapon, undisputed, you know, heavyweight champion of the world in 2 weight classes.
That's right. It'd be like what's his name, Roman Reigns. He's got both straps.
right.
I got the sword and the mythosaur.
Right. Try me.
Again, though, we don't know. Is Grogu gonna Mick Dundee the thing? And is he gonna do it for himself, for his dad, or for his new surrogate mom?
Or is the armor gonna turn on them all?
I don't think that you can rule that out.
Those are all going to happen.
You can't rule any of that stuff out. Yeah. And then, I mean, oof. We still gonna. So maybe we'll get
the idea that maybe Paz Vizsla could beat Bo-Katan half to death in a fight and take the saber in some way. You know, there's a schism coming, and there's 2 hours to do it. So
yeah. Which, as always, I ask myself, how are they going to wrap it all up? And then the answer is they're not.
we already know he's already written season 4.
Yeah.
So,
and like you say, that this recently announced this weekend, New Republic era film from Dave Filoni, on the nose, will tie all of the series together. So expect that to
6
serve
seasons
as
in a movie.
Sort of
Rebels season, whatever.
Some sort of finale to something, whether it's the Mandalorian proper or
and from now on, finales will be called Filoni's.
But if he's staying within canon, it's going to get real dark.
Yeah,
like all of our heroes we know weren't in the Rise of Skywalker.
Well,
the ghost was present. The ghost was present at that fight.
The ghost was.
Ahsoka's ghost was present for that I am all the Jedi.
Oh, I mean the ghost, the freighter, the star freighter.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that, yes, the ship was there, but Ahsoka's ghost was there.
She was there,
in ghost form.
Yeah.
So,
but she transcends worlds, though, too.
True.
She could have been speaking from the world between worlds.
That's true. The world between worlds. Huge part of that trailer this week.
Do we want to do 5 minutes on the trailer?
I can handle it. I don't know if my heart can handle it. I've got no visuals for it, so but yeah, we can talk.
I could just hold my cell phone up.
Oh, there's a happy Easter from Ray. Happy Easter, Ray. Thank you. Happy Easter to you as well. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend as we talk about the Ahsoka trailer for a couple of minutes here before we wrap it up. Ray Stevens' character, not Thrawn. And we posited that maybe he could have been Thrawn. He's not going to be Thrawn. No. I'm happy about that.
Even because of who we got for Thrawn. I'm even that
Lars
voice
Mikkelsen.
is like poison molasses.
It really is. A little bit on the nose in the trailer. Ahsoka says she says something to the effect of Thrawn's coming back as heir to the Empire. Yeah. Are we getting some form of adaptation of heir to the Empire?
So we could go both ways. We could start it here and veer off into Luke Skywalker, Heir of the Empire territory, because we know that we could now really do that effectively. We could be
my Easter eggs all over, right?
My idea that they would just redo Heir to the Empire. I guess it only redo the novels. They haven't done it yet, but take that story and put Ahsoka as the central figure in it.
Yeah, Ahsoka becomes the Luke character.
Right, so you're going to get Ahsoka with 2 A's fighting herself.
Right, or Ahsoka with 2 H's. Oh, Ahsoka.
But also we have like the leaked names of the characters, Skull and
it was right in the subtitles on the trailer. The first trailer I watched was subtitled.
Balon Skull. And these are the two in Norse mythology, the wolves that chase the sun and the moon around the earth until they catch them at Ragnarok. And then we clearly see when that Balon character ignites his orange blade, which is
are we calling that orange, not red?
I mean, yeah, because all the other blades we've ever seen in Star Wars have had white centers.
Yep.
Except for the Darksaber. And this has this orange glowing center. I mean, it's thematically different than every saber we've ever seen. There's 2 of them. Each of those,
his and hers. Her lightsaber.
So there's a lot of are they old Republic characters frozen in time? Does Ahsoka find them in the world between worlds trapped and let them out? Like,
I gotta be honest, I was really hoping that we would stay away from that. Time travel in Star Wars has always bothered me. It still does. It was cool for what it was, but man, you need to use that stuff so sparingly. Otherwise, it's just.
I think you're in for it because we already know they've cast a young Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And the title card literally has the world between.
Oh yeah, it's all in the swirls. It's all there.
So I think we're going to be all over the. I think we're going to be diving deep into that sort of section of the Force.
As long as the outcome at the end of it is that she comes back into the real world. And she hasn't altered a bunch of stuff, as time travel properties tend to do.
Let's just go kill the Emperor when he's a baby.
Yeah. I got a comment coming in from Red. Nice to have you along tonight, Red. Orange still associated with the dark side, tied to Sith sorcerers in the Old Republic era.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. I was not aware of that. I thought that orange was potentially a Jedi color based on personality. That's interesting. I'd love to know a source for that if you got one. Otherwise, if you don't, that's okay too. Still appreciate the comment.
It's got that red.
It's red-ish. So I just went, oh, it's a different shade of red. Just like, red, black, bad guy.
He has that Vader moment on it looks like a tent of, he's choking rebel pilots. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but the voice at the beginning of the trailer, that is Ray Stevenson talking.
100%. 100%.
For sure it is.
It is, yeah.
So, I mean, for all the Heir to the Empire fans who have read the book, is this the Joruus C'baoth character?
I feel like it could be. Again, we're getting into heavy speculation territory based on 10 seconds, but I feel like it could be, especially because he appears to be talking to Ahsoka before they fight there in the world between worlds.
Yeah.
And this is exactly how he sort of approaches Luke Skywalker. Like,
tries
to lure him in. Like,
I'm your buddy. I'm gonna finish your training. Yeah. If that stuff. Is the
all the characters
Old Republic
fantastic.
MMO, orange and purple are Sith defaults for the most part. Is the Old Republic MMO canon?
I wouldn't think so, seeing as
I don't believe
Mace
it is.
Windu wielded the purple.
I do not believe it is. Yes, purple is not. Yeah. So I don't believe that the Old Republic is a canon source anymore. I could be wrong on that.
No, it's probably not. But they are pulling from that sort of
That's
stuff.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Just after doing that entire episode on lightsabers. I'm like, orange. I don't remember that.
Cal Kestis has got an orange. It's one of the it's the when you buy the deluxe version of the old game on PS4, the orange blade is the deluxe blade that comes with
cool. it. So if Ray Stevenson's character is the C'baoth, the blonde dark sider
Evil Omega clone.
The stand-in for is that our Mara Jade stand-in?
Maybe.
Had her name.
I don't.
It was here a second ago. I had it in the chat, so let me just scroll back. Sorry, we're live.
No, that's all right.
Dancing. There's the Thrawn image, so we're getting close.
Or maybe it's just growing up as Omega.
Hottie.
That's an awful thought.
I know.
Yeah, that's a horrible thought.
Hottie. Anyway, the last name is Hottie. I didn't catch the Hati. I didn't catch the first name. I did earlier, but Hottie and Skoll are the names of the Norse wolves.
The wolves. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And
definitely antagonistic. And of course, you can never disappoint me when you give me yet another Inquisitor.
Yeah,
there was an Inquisitor in that trailer. Super happy. Also, with a helmet on. With a helmet on.
A lot of the properties are saying the eighth brother, which has been in a few of the properties, but it looked female to me.
I was going to say, I thought it looked like a woman. And I mean, we've bantered around a few times. This is it. I mean, they made a point in the flashbacks with Grogu. Look at that's Barasophi's quarters. She was incarcerated in the Jedi Temple. If Darth Vader found her, Darth Vader, who was present for her trial, found her and corrupted her, like brought her to the Emperor.
Hey, you want me one?
Sure. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I mean,
she was highly skilled with a saber. I mean, she
bad blood. The bad blood between Ahsoka and I mean the
like, wouldn't that just be the kick, right?
The most tragic villains, right?
Yeah.
Vader's tragic villain. He was, Luke's father.
She's the perfect antithesis to
Ahsoka.
Like,
and they were friends.
They
were friends.
Oh, right. Ahsoka being Anakin's Padawan to be
Vader's. Yeah.
The whole reason she left the Jedi Order is because thematically she plants the seeds of mistrust in Ahsoka's mind, but then she actually is the reason that she's kicked out of the Order in the first place, and then decides not to go back. So she makes the perfect sort of villain. Everybody else looks amazing.
Want to comment on
Phantom 2?
Yes, Phantom 2. That was cool. The Shetapede shuttle with Chopper hanging at the side. Woo!
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Hera.
Yes. Sorry. Yes, Hera Syndulla, played by Mrs. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That's right. Thank you. I have to say, I'm not as disappointed with that as I thought I might be.
No, it looks great.
She looks pretty good. She looks really good.
That the opening and closing shots of Rebels make a live action appearance as that the Sabine is on the gantry. Which Ezra is on at the very first episode, and
that's Lothal. That is absolutely Lothal.
100% Lothal.
So does that mean Sabine has been living in Ezra's room on Lothal the whole time?
So riddle me this. Okay, so we because they love continuity. We have a long-haired at first I was like, I don't like it. She's got long hair. We have a long-haired Sabine, but
we do. Who says
she's not
it's been a while?
Mandalorian, and she's not wearing Mandalorian armor.
They went off to find her
helmet.
They left, came back. Something else has happened to reconnect them.
No, I disagree.
Okay,
because Dave Filoni makes a point of saying the epilogue to Rebels could be anywhere in time. When Ahsoka shows up to meet that short-haired Sabine, hanging onto her helmet with a different paint job, totally
recreating the epilogue from the animated series.
I don't think so. I think the epilogue from the animated series happens at the end of this Ahsoka show.
Oh, that's interesting.
She's Ahsoka the White there, and she's not Ahsoka the White yet.
Man, I don't know. We don't actually see Ahsoka in that sequence. We just see Sabine standing there in front of the mural.
No, she's wearing her gray uniform. She's wearing her gray tunic. It says it's been a long time. But when we see her in the epilogue to Rebels,
that's true.
She is
that's true.
Gandalf the White, holding the crazy staff.
Yep.
Not wielding lightsabers.
Interesting.
I think that's the end game. I think that we might go through this whole thing where it's like and now we got to go find Ezra again on a totally different tip. I mean, Ezra could be the MacGuffin. We might not get anything but a hologram of this poor actor.
That was it. The guy was hired to do a trailer.
No, he was hired for season 2.
Red says, "This is her way." What do we think of Hu Yang coming back? The
outstanding
ancient droid Jedi instructor.
If anybody's going to rebuild lightsabers for future generations,
if we're going to,
what are we starting over? Are we starting over? Are we talking to Luke Skywalker because he's still around there? Is this how we're rebuilding the
As I understand it, and
what I mean?
you've been rewatching Rebels recently. The last time we saw Hu Yang, he was really damaged. So. Are we going to get some explanation as to how he's back, or is this another case of this is a
flashback?
Yeah, flashback to when?
Remains to be seen.
Maybe Ahsoka being very young, we've never seen her get her saber. We just meet her, in media res. We see her birth and we see some of her early training.
Yep. And now
not lost on me the way that she escapes from the Star Destroyer by touchlessly wielding her lightsabers to cut through the
I thought that was kind of silly, to be honest. It's okay, really? But yeah, I did.
I love the idea that that's her move.
I had a
role-playing character Jedi missing an arm, still wielded his lightsaber
with the Force, as if there was an arm there. Yeah,
absolutely. Just
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. It is cool, and visually it's cool. It's just it does the same thing. I don't know. It just seems gratuitous, and I guess on some level, maybe that's what we want. You want gratuitous, cool stuff,
lightsaber stuff. Yeah, I mean, the deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith where Anakin originally kills or cuts off Dooku's hands by letting the saber go and spinning and using the Force to take his hands and then catching the saber after. It was in the original script and in the animatics, but not released.
Yeah, not done as a fully realized thing. So I mean, the Ahsoka trailer, I am too.
Crazy.
I am too. We said before, Ahsoka season 1. You mean Rebels season 5?
Yeah,
I still firmly believe that. It's cool. We've got everybody back. We've seen everybody now live action, what they're going to look like, except Agent Kallus.
Except Agent
Kallus. Yeah.
And Jason Syndulla.
And Jason Syndulla. That's true. Also, there was some photographs from Celebration this weekend that came out that showed our live action cast together, and I noticed that Zeb was glaringly absent from the cast photo. You had Sabine and Hera and Chopper. And Zeb was not there. So
he's working with the New Republic.
He is working for the New Republic. So I don't know. Is he not coming back?
I mean, so is Sabine. She's got one of those New Republic flight jackets on.
Oh, right.
She's got the New Republic emblem on her shoulder in that.
But has she not always had the Phoenix on her shoulder thing? She's always had some version of it.
She had what looks a lot like Ahsoka's owl.
Yeah. I'm tempted to look that up.
You have to Google it.
Yeah. I don't even have. I've packed up all my fingers. I can't even grab one to look at.
That's what I was doing. I was like, how close?
Where did I put it?
Where is she?
Well,
there she is.
Before, oh, you've got her. Okay,
perfect. But she's still in the box, so I might not.
Oh, still in the box. Is it on the? Oh, it's a black box. Yeah, so it's not even. Oh, it's the derpy face version.
It is
I have the derpy face version.
Oh, it's so bad.
That's the one I have.
I got a horrible paint job on top of a derpy face. It's almost like a stylized night owl.
Yeah, I thought it was like she had a very specific version of the Phoenix. It didn't have like the 3-prong thing at the top. It was more like
it's like Ezra's. Yeah. Sabine's shoulder pauldron art. Sorry, guys, we're live.
That's all right. At this point, I can probably close this. Yeah, I can close this now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's an owl.
Okay. Yeah.
Spectre 5.
Before we go tonight, I just want to, I got another image here. I showed it to you guys before we went live. I just want to show it to everybody here. Just last week, it was so cool now we're talking about Rebels and stuff. And we got Zeb came back last week in the Outpost, the New Republic Outpost. Did anybody notice? I didn't. Did anybody notice there on the far right, Doug Chang? I didn't notice that Doug Chang was in that sequence. Man, I'm like, I feel like, I did him such a disservice by not pointing him out last week. I'm sorry, Doug.
Aiming high on cameos.
Oh my God, yeah.
He was unfortunately overshadowed by a CGI.
Yeah, by a baby. Oh no!
I honestly can't believe if I hadn't been checking in with some of the other reviewers, I might have missed the other three guys because I was all in on Zeb there. Like,
oh man, I caught them. I got them. I didn't catch them right away, but when I went back and I'm like, wait a minute.
Subsequent watches, absolutely.
Yeah. Again, that microscopic view, but yeah. So that's been our look at chapter 22 of.
You feel better about it now?
Guns for Hire. About what?
The end.
About the
end of the episode.
Or the episode in general.
I'm actually, I wasn't so upset about it to begin with. It was my initial knee-jerk reaction, and the way that it played out, I'm very accepting of it. Even if I disagree with it, I accept it because from a certain point of view. And I'm going to laugh my bag off if the next time she ignites it, she can't use it, because then that'll tell us everything.
I certainly will occasionally see something that'll make me stamp my feet and go, they can't do this, they can't do that.
Oh yeah,
and Lauren will remind me, it's not your story.
That's right. Yeah. I'm okay in the sense that, you know what, I've said it before. New Star Wars is new Star Wars, and I'm along for the ride, no matter what it is. So I can't imagine that we're going to be disappointed with the last two episodes going. No. That tweet has me really excited that it's not only the resolution to the Mandalorian, but also the Book of Boba Fett, a show that I think we were very much more forgiving of than a lot of other people in the fan space.
I loved it.
I did too. I mean, even the like a bantha. Fine, people sure,
were hard on the Tusken Raider stuff, and to me, that was more
some of the best world building. Yeah.
Really,
we don't want to see world building. We just want to see stereotyping.
I'd even watch a show about politics. Well, here you go.
Final thought.
Yeah, of course.
Those nanobots in the fluid.
Yep.
Are they the droid equivalent of Order 66?
Ooh.
In this case, I would say yes, they are.
Yeah,
I would say so, especially the way that they define that the lab tech when the priority on the mainframe changes. So whatever we need them to do, I don't know.
Was there always that kill switch in the droid army?
Maybe,
I don't know about that. Maybe there was,
because there's definitely a kill switch on Naboo when they just and they're all done.
Yeah.
Well, they take out the control ship.
True.
Right, and that's an interesting point too, because those battle droids are very, very early on. Later versions of the B1 would do away with that, and they became more autonomous, like we're used to seeing.
Autonomous for sure
through the rest of the Clone Wars. But it also made them more kind of. That's why they have the like.
You got to wonder what part of this nanobot reprogramming has them going. Humans are we don't want to harm humans. They only live for a short time and they don't ask much of us. You got to wonder how much of that is the opposite of L337 going, droid autonomy, unequivocally droid autonomy.
And
it's really interesting.
With the whole the Nepenthe, that's a great in-universe explanation for why that B2 could run like a human.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just going to tweak your programming and everything's going to be great. What is going on here? What is this? Oh, okay. Nothing related to the show. Sorry.
Fair enough.
I get a message. I'm like, oh, that's my wife.
What is this on my elbow? I got
I got a message from my wife, and I'm like, I better have a look at that. So no, everything's good. All is good.
Couple days to go. Well, I guess a couple more days now.
I'm very sad to say, well, I'm not. I'm super excited because my biannual, I shouldn't say biannual. When is it? What is it when you do it twice a year?
Biannual.
Well, my biannual vacation is coming up very shortly, which means I will be gone. And unlike the last time that I was gone where I could phone it in, I'm going to a place where the infrastructure is not exactly there and I won't be able to phone it in. So as much as it pains me to say this, I'm actually going to be absent for the finale for the next two episodes, just because of the way the dates land. I will be watching the episodes and I will be saluting everything that goes on behind the scenes here, and I will do as much as I can to support the show right up until I leave. Although I'm very sad to say that I will not be here to play along in the next two reviews, and that breaks my heart in some ways. But at the same time, these things get planned months in advance, and I had no way of knowing that it was going to fall the way that it did. So, even though I will not be around for the next couple of episodes, please, guys, do come back. Do share our YouTube channel with your like-minded friends, or even with the people you don't even care that much about. If they like Star Wars,
tell your enemies about us.
As always, all the YouTube stuff, it's actually right. It's right there. You can do all the YouTube stuff. You can like, share, and subscribe. Always check out the merch shop. We're 70 plus designs. A lot of fan. You will recognize some pop culture inspired logos there that I think are very cool. Props to Andy for putting in all the hours on making those for us. Also, you can check out our Patreon, where we have a couple different levels that you can support us at. And
we're gonna have a web page soon.
Yeah, we will have a website very soon. I'm working on that as well. I just got to do a couple of more tweaks and buy us a URL, and then we will have a website. We'll be all a one-stop shop. However, yes, I will be around for random Fandom Tuesday.
Sweet.
So this week confirmed?
Not yet. No.
Oh, okay. So then we don't know.
That's
we will
how
be
random it is.
Could be
1, 2, or more of us will be here for Tuesday night Random Fandom. So keep your eyes peeled to the interwebs this week for the stuff that's important to you, because we want to hear from you guys. At the very least, we will be able to talk way more about Celebration, because it will just have ended. Wraps up tomorrow, I guess.
I believe so.
Yeah, as the UK is ahead of us, so we'll be able to talk about it Tuesday night. We can do a little highlights reel maybe of what we liked about Celebration. Go through all those Crazy Black Series releases that we've been seeing over the last couple of days. And if our guests do firm up on us, then we can shift as necessary. But at this point, it doesn't sound like it.
We'll see.
Fair enough.
Lauren wants me to buy her an extra tech, so she can take apart one of those, the floating toys, the hoverboard toys.
Yeah.
And put the magnet in tech and have him eternally falling.
Buy 2 of them so you can replace the head on your season 1 tech.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I need a set of crushed eyes made out of Sculpey too. Yeah. Crushed glass.
Too soon.
All right, guys. Yeah. This has been our Fandom Power review of The Mandalorian Chapter 22, Guns for Hire. Again, probably the most star-studded guest cameo episode yet. One of the most talked, if not the most talked about episode of the season. The fan community is all over the place with the how the Darksaber has been handled, myself included. Really looking forward to the next 2 episodes, especially seeing as there's that continuity piece with Rick directing both of them. Man, I think we're going to get a better payoff on this than maybe we got on the Bad Batch.
Maybe.
Anyway, these guys will be here to cover it all, and I will be here in spirit. But do come hang out with us on Tuesday as we talk a little bit more Star Wars and whatever else you guys want to talk about.
Cool.
Any more?
That's me, man.
All right. Well, listen, guys, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
And we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.
Woo-hoo. This is the way.